You appreciate those camels? I haven't seen camels like that in a long time.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
Up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
What do you say we get into it? Hit that like button, guys. Please. Let's get right into it. What's up, gang? What's up, gang? How are you guys doing? I appreciate you joining me once again on Wednesday, October 22nd. Lots to get to. Let me first thank the mods. Let me first thank the chat for you guys always being here, showing up. Laurie, Julie, Kathleen, Corey, what's happening, A-Lady, James, Roxanne, Yakov. I appreciate you guys, all the mods. You guys are fantastic. What's up, Kyle? What's up, everybody? Appreciate you guys being here. Kathleen, Pam, Alvin, you guys are amazing. What's up, Nicholas? What's up, Evie's aunt? What's up, Dame? Tarat, what's going on? So we got a lot to talk about today. We got a lot to discuss. Let me see if I can just jump on the stage here, bring you into just a little bit of what we're discussing. So we got our latest narco-terrorist strike conducted by the Trump administration, another one of these illegal, unconstitutional strikes. We'll be talking about that, not to mention the fact that he's now trying to get us into a war with Mexico. We'll be discussing about how he just designated the cartels as terrorist groups and ordered U.S. military to prepare drone strikes and special ops deep inside Mexico. The president of peace and all that good stuff. We'll be looking at this, which is kind of confusing because of what we just heard come out of, Donald Trump's mouth when Zelensky was in town after his phone call with Putin. Now, all of a sudden, the White House announces new sanctions on two of the biggest Russian oil companies. So it's like everybody's kind of doing, it's a head spinner. We'll be looking at that. This is in NBC News. And then something you'll never want to hear, obviously, which is Russia holds nuclear drills. Now, again, I don't know if this is because of or in retaliation for, Trump's phone call or whatever took place there. I highly doubt it. But again, nothing you want to see. And obviously, this doesn't show that Vladimir Putin is ready to start listening to Donald Trump or ready to stop playing ball by any means. So there's a couple videos as well I want to talk to about that. We'll be hearing Donald Trump take questions about that. He had a couple questions on it today when he was sitting down with the Secretary General of NATO. We'll also be diving deep into a little bit of what's going on with Russia's deadly path to the front. So this is, again, just a Preston Stewart video. A couple minutes of this gives you an accurate depiction of what the Russians on the front lines are going through right now. What else do we got? We got Megyn Kelly doesn't like protesters, ladies and gentlemen. She's here to make fun of, demean, ridicule, mock anybody in any way, shape, or form that was out there exercising their First Amendment right. We got MAGA is now turning even more on Kash Patel. This one pertains to the Charlie Kirk investigation or lack thereof. In the latest, I think it was a gag order put in place by that judge. So we'll listen to a little bit of some of the MAGA freaks, call out Kash Patel, call out the FBI with, again, not putting one-to-one the connections to Donald Trump being the head of that whole thing. We also have J.D. Vance inside Israel. That's if we have enough time. And again, we also have this Scott Bessent clip as well in case, Donald Trump doesn't give us any clear answers, which I'm not expecting, as to why these sanctions were put in place. Scott Bessent was questioned here on Fox Business about the sanctions. So we'll take a dip into what he has to say. What's up, Liberal Dan? What's up, brother? Appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. Great to see you as well. What's up, Jim? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Everett? What's up, Karen? Thank you, guys. Make sure you hit that like on the way in. But first and foremost, before we get into all of those crazy stories and the crazy clips that we have to get to, a lot of people have been asking and discussing this whole Graham Plattner situation, right? So I just figured before we dive into the whole shenanigans of what's been going on, I just kind of, lay my 2 cents on the line here. I don't know why, well, I kind of do know why, but, I don't know if it's more because I'm just a political commentator and he happens to be from Maine, which is, more my neck of the woods, or if it's because of my, studies or knowledge of like the Nazi symbology, or, what people have been asking, is he a secret Nazi? Is he a plant? Is he this? Is he that? Obviously the rhetoric about black people not tipping, his rhetoric on women and sexual assault, the tattoo on his chest. We'll be discussing it, but I just kind of want to take a moment to, like I said, throw my 2 cents on the table. And I don't think it should be very difficult for us to call this stuff out, right? Like, I find it very difficult to believe that this guy went 18 years with a Totenkopf on his chest and didn't recognize that in anything that he saw. He didn't recognize it in, a documentary. He didn't recognize it in, a World War II movie. He didn't recognize it in a book. He didn't recognize it in a newspaper. He didn't recognize it in passing. He didn't recognize it in a meme somewhere. Like, it's very difficult for me to believe that, like, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. If he did get the tattoo while he was drunk with his buddies in the Marines, it happens. Like we've heard, you can pull up any number of stories from anybody that served, I'm sure, and they'll give you a story kind of similar to like that, where they've got a tattoo or somebody in their group has a tattoo that they didn't remember getting, right? So again, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But again, 18 years after, you're telling me that you didn't run across anything that, would give you a little bit of like pause or cause for concern and be like, hey, you know what that looks like? That looks like the fucking the Nazi symbol. That looks like the same thing I have tattooed on my chest. Maybe I should look into this more, or maybe I should just cover that up immediately just to be safe, right? Like, I don't want anybody out there thinking that I'm a secret Nazi, which is what, we're getting nowadays. So, again, I don't think it should be difficult for us to say that this is absolutely not behavior that one should be sent to public office for. This is not representative of, my beliefs and what the best of my knowledge. And again, I'll come right out and say that I was a big fan of Graham Plattner's campaign, a big fan of a lot of his policies, a big fan of a lot of his rhetoric, the way he came after the Republicans, the way he spoke to people in the community, again, being a Maine guy and being from, my, somewhat area neck of the woods. And, I kind of had a little, I was a little biased right off the bat to begin with, but I agreed with a lot of what he said. I agreed with a lot of his platform. I agreed with a lot of his policies, but I don't think it should be that difficult for us to be like, okay, everything or the things that were pointed out that he said go way above and beyond someone, even if you in the chat or anybody else is willing to, offer up forgiveness, is that type of person. I think we could both agree that, even if you are one of those people, and I'm not saying you have to be, I'm not saying I am one either, but if that is you, then I think we could both come to the agreement that that person probably definitely shouldn't be serving as a senator, shouldn't be representing the people anywhere with a position of power, right? I mean, as much as it kills me to say, as much as I'm disappointed and hurt, and, it angers me to be in this position having to speak about this stuff. I mean, I don't think it's too crazy to think that, let me put this on the screen. I don't think it's too crazy to be able to recognize, this symbol where you can see it so often in so many different places, right? So let's see here. Pull this up, put this on. I mean, it's just, you know what I mean? It's too prevalent. It's in too many different things. I mean, on the, anybody that knows even just the slightest bit about history would be able to recognize this and be like, at least, like I said, give it a pause, give it a cause for concern and say, I should probably look into this a little bit more, right? Like, and just some of these other things as well. A lot of people might not recognize these as being associated with like Nazi ideology, right? So, there's that chance that he didn't know and he was inebriated and he just picked what looked like a cool skull and at that time didn't know. Like, I'm willing to give him that benefit of the doubt. Like, I'm willing to go at least that far. But In the 18 years since, you're telling me that you didn't notice anything similar to what you had on your chest, to what you were seeing, again, in a documentary, a movie, a meme, a whatever, online somewhere. And just to kind of do a deep dive, a little bit, does this Odal rune look familiar? Remember when CPAC had the stage in this very shape right here, right? A lot of people, that went over a lot of people's head as well. Like a lot of people didn't, right off the bat look and say, hey, that stage looks like an Odal rune used by the 7th SS, Volunteer Mountain Division, right? So a lot of people aren't going to know that. So it had to be pointed out by people that did know, that people that did associate. And even this black sun, let me make sure you can see. So even this black sun down on the corner here, right here. Now, if you'll remember, this was actually used by Heinrich Himmler at Wewelsburg Castle when he redid that castle and made it kind of the home of the SS there. He used that on the floor of the basement, and that was also used in Ron DeSantis's one of his advertisements. Let me see if I can pull up that to show you that. Black Sun DeSantis. See if remember this one? So this was put out by one of his staffers. I'll just pop this on the screen. See that symbol in the back? You see that symbol in the back? Now take a good look at that symbol in the back, and then we go to these two, right? The black sun. This is just a variation of the black sun. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was supposed to have 13 spokes, if you count them the same as in Wewelsburg Castle, because of the 13. I want to say it has to do with something, the Knights of the Cross, or something ridiculous. Obviously, we got the Partei Adler, the Party Eagle. This is obviously the symbol in question. But again, a lot of these may not be representative or jump out at you as being like overly representative or, associated with Nazi ideology. So again, we can at least extend our hand that far and say it's very possible, or plausible at least, that, a group of shit-faced guys just saw a cool skull, or at least this shit-faced guy saw a cool skull and didn't know. But again, that doesn't excuse the last 18 years of this whole thing. So, it's unfortunate to see, because he was doing really well in this, again, pushing back against the establishment Democrat bullshit and showing a new way on how to fight Republicans and how to speak to people in the community. But I think this is pretty clear that, we should be able to call this out without any questions or cause for concern or anything like that, right? And I think Hal spoke about this earlier, and I think he kind of, summed it up pretty well when he said, if we're willing to call out, and we're going to stand 10 toes down and call out Pete Hegseth in the imagery and the tattoos that he has, and people like him, right? Then we better stand on our principles, we better stand on our beliefs, and we better make sure that we put that, we put that to everybody. We put that into effect. We put that into play everywhere that we live. We don't just, suggestively fucking put that into play and decide who we're going to, put our principles and beliefs behind. So just wanted to get that out there. Because again, a lot of people have been messaging and asking. Again, I don't know if it was the connection with Maine. I don't know if it was the connection with the symbology, or people kind of being like, is he a plant? Is he a Nazi? On the whole, is he a secret Nazi? Is he a secret plant? Like, the thing that really stands out to me is, if he were a secret Nazi, like, he must be the dumbest secret Nazi on the planet to have, again, a Totenkopf on your chest. Wouldn't be the best way to go into any clandestine activities, trying to paint yourself as somebody other than a Nazi, right? So I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say, no, he's not a secret Nazi, just to, obviously, to the best of my knowledge, going off the facts that we've seen here. But again, this whole Nazi tattoo is not even taken into account, again, some of the egregious shit that he said, again, about, black people not tipping. As a guy that was a bartender in Maine, again, somebody that grew up in New England, I can probably tell you that, being from Maine, you're not being frequented by that many black people, a state that is overwhelmingly populated by white people. Like, I don't think he in any way can get, what do you call it? I think he called it a legitimate question too on the Pod Save podcast when he was questioned about all this. Again, not great answers, shit answers to be quite frank. I think to the best of my recollection, he called it a legitimate question because he was a bartender, and a lot of the black people that came in to frequent his bar weren't good tippers. That's what he gave as an answer, which is just, kind of blows my mind that he doesn't have something better than that. Like, doesn't him and his campaign didn't work up something better than that, knowing, the stakes of this? But again, I digress. That's a conversation for a different day. But, again, that's putting aside the egregious shit we heard him say about women and sexual assault, and how it leads to books, any like sleight of hand. And again, I'm paraphrasing as to not quote directly, because it's pretty egregious stuff. And again, some people may be willing to give him the benefit of the doubt as a person, and people can change, and you can be forgiven. And again, if that's the way you live your life and that's how you go about things, I am not here to change that about you. Not the way I necessarily look at things. I look at it like, it's going to take a lot of goddamn work and a lot of goddamn progress in order to make me realize, or to get me in any way to get me to see that you've come across all this, or come through all this 100%, like, I don't know, fucking ratified, right? Like 100% clean, because there's too many mistakes been made. There's too many egregious shit been said. It's too much to take in all at once. So I think we can all agree, if you're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, then we can probably agree that he should probably do that, or you can give him the benefit of the doubt outside of a Senate seat, right? Outside of a position of power. As much as it kills me to say, and like I said, I came into this biased, right? That's why I say I was a fan of his campaign. I liked his stuff. I liked what he had to say. I liked his rhetoric. I wanted to make sure that was very clear, that I'm even coming to this position that I have now, being a fan of his campaign up until this point. But I think it's more smart of us, more prudent upon us to stay principled in our beliefs and the way we call things out and who we call out, right? So that's one thing that I like about at least a good majority of our side, is we aren't afraid to call out people that wear the same color, that have the same letter next to our name, if they do egregious shit, if they step out of line. And I don't think we should throw that in the trash, that reputation, because again, it just gives the right wing more ammunition to combat us and call us hypocrites and shit. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Like I said, a lot of people have been asking, so my 2 cents on the whole matter. So I appreciate you listening. Please make sure you hit that like button. Again, if you're just joining us, that was kind of my 2 cents. And if you just missed it, I apologize. You can go back and start it from the beginning. But, on the whole Graham Plattner situation in the fiasco, again, stemming from a lot of this, again, not a lot of it, but even more of this stemming from his answers given in that Pod Save interview, which, again, did not do anything to help his case. And again, in my opinion, went even further to, bring him down even more rungs on the ladder, in my opinion. So, but with that being said, what do you say, you guys? Hop out, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you like this. If you find yourself coming back, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, please feel free and think about subscribing. It's free to do so. But what do you say we jump into a little bit of the news here again? Oh, sorry, my apologies. That's not the news, but this is. The U.S. has conducted, what is this now? It's 7th or 8th illegal strike on what they're calling a narco-terrorist vessel. This time, I'm not sure if the person already jumped ship, or if you just can't see him, the people in this whole thing, or if I'm not sure what's going on, because I watched this for about 2 seconds and I knew I wanted to watch it with you guys. But in those 2 seconds, and right now, I'm not seeing anybody on the boat. Is anybody seeing anybody on that boat? I'm not sure, but let's get into it. Again, the president of peace, the guy that says to be America first, continuing this illegal fucking campaign to try to, I don't know, smoke Maduro out of office in Venezuela or something like that, because he sure as fuck ain't stopping the boats from coming in. Because apparently, if you've struck 7 or 8 of these boats and they're still coming, they don't give a shit about these singular boats that you're taking out. You'd have to take out a whole fleet of these things at a port for that to have any impact whatsoever. You can't pick these things off one by one. You know how many boats like this Venezuela has around there? Come on, let's be realistic. But let's take a look at this. This is again from, I think this is a New York Post, and this is just a couple minutes long, 2 minutes, 45 seconds, in case you're wondering. So this is October 21st, 2025. U.S. conducts lethal strike on narco terrorist vessel. And again, let's see what lack of information, lack of evidence they have to even suggest that's what it is. And let's see if there's anybody even on this fucking boat. Oh, what is it? One of them silent gigs? All right, let's see what happened. What? Why do they make a silent friggin'? All right, well, I guess we'll have to watch it in silence. Like, I don't know why they'd make a silent video, but here's just a short video of the strike. You know, I don't think it takes much to recognize or, you know, envision what happened. But I don't see anybody on the goddamn boat. Am I mistaken, chat? Am I crazy? Like, do you guys see anybody on that boat? This, I'm guessing, is the helm, right? Is this not the helm? Where would the person be on that boat? I mean, it could very well have a hidden compartment, or it could be, you know, hidden up front here. I'm not, but I don't know what the hell's going on. Who they taking out? How many people did they say they got? So, all right, there's the boom. Right now, do they say how many people they claim to have taken out here? Again, why people put together silent videos, I'll never know. All right, so that's just basically a repetitive shot of the strike. But let's see if we can get any more information. Let's see if I can pull this up for you guys. Let's see. Latest narco strike. For some reason, silly me, I thought the New York Post would actually have some fucking information and some, I don't know, some words to go along with their videos. But let's see here. U.S. forces. Oh, okay. So this, the BBC says they killed 2. Let me pull this up, put this on the screen instead. So U.S. forces killed 2 and strike on alleged drug boat in the Pacific this time. Okay. So no longer off the coast of Venezuela. And does that mean it was no longer in international waters? Does that mean it was in... maybe that's not what that means. Maybe that. Let's read on. U.S. forces have struck another vessel alleged to be carrying drugs. Again, I see black tops. That's about all I see. And if they are carrying drugs, let's just kind of run this down, right? Like, what do we know about like the people that are trying to transport this stuff? Like, they make the most of every single square inch possible. Right? Have you ever seen the videos of, you know, at the border stations, at the border crossings where, you know, you'll see the trucks are being ripped apart and, they're pulling, satchel after satchel after satchel out of a gas tank and out of a tire and, out of different areas of a truck. Like, they make use of every single square inch. Now, does it make sense for these narco terrorists, right, to send out a boat half full with drugs? Like, I'm just kind of spitballing here. I'm just kind of brainstorming. Like, wouldn't they fill the entire boat, or at least, as much as possible with as many drugs as possible to make it the most efficient run, right? To get the most bang for their buck, which we know is the goal of, said cartels, said drug dealers. I'm just thinking of that. I'm like, why would these people send off a half full, not even half full boat? Like, makes absolutely no sense to me. But again, let's continue. Let's see. Let's continue on this one. U.S. forces struck this time in the waters off of the Pacific Ocean, the Pentagon said. According to Defense Secretary, let me make sure you're reading this. Yeah, you are. According to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, 2 people aboard the vessel were killed and no U.S. forces were harmed. The vessel was known to U.S. intelligence, was believed to be carrying drugs along a known trafficking route in international waters. Hegseth added, the strike marks the 8th. I thought it was the 8th U.S. strike against suspected drug boats since 2 September, but the first in the Pacific. Donald Trump said he has legal authority to continue bombing boats in international water, but said he may go to the U.S. Congress if he decides to expand targets on land. We're allowed to do that, and if we do it by land, we may go back to Congress. What do you mean we may go back to Congress? Yeah, if we decide to make a land invasion here somewhere, we might run it by Congress at some point, but who knows? Maybe not. I mean, it's Jesus Christ. Trump said to reporters in the Oval Office Wednesday, he said his administration was totally prepared to expand the anti-drug operations on land, which would mark a deep escalation. In the Oval Office with Trump, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio added that, quote, if people want to stop seeing drug boats blown up, stop sending drugs to the United States. Videos of the strikes appear to show a long blue speedboat moving through the water, as we just saw, before being struck by U.S. ordnance. Narco terrorists intending to bring position to our shores. What? Narco terrorists intending to bring position to our shores will find no safe harbor anywhere in our atmosphere, Hegseth wrote on X. I don't know. That must be some like fucking I'm trying to look tough, mumbo jumbo speak on that one. Just as Al Qaeda wages war on our homeland, these cartels are waging war on our border and our people. There will be no refuge or forgiveness, only justice. At least 34 people have been killed in the American strikes on alleged cartel boats. In recent strikes on semi-submersible vessels in the Caribbean. 2 men survived a strike last week, which were repatriated to Colombia and Ecuador. Now that's funny. That's a pretty big part in this story, I think, right? I think this is a pretty big fuck up by the Trump administration, leaving 2 people alive, right? You just never want to leave a witness behind. You want to make sure you're tying up all those loose ends. That way you can claim that these people are narco terrorists without giving any evidence. But if you're a moron, and even with the best of United States ordinance, can't even make sure to take out 6 people on a fucking Venezuelan fishing boat. And again, I don't advocate doing so, but if you're a moron trying to undertake that and aren't even capable of doing it to the fucking, to get the job done, then it makes a difference whether or not they released these people back to their homeland. So if these people were actual narco terrorists, let's just, again, run this through your old fucking calculator in the old Domsky here. These people are supposedly narco terrorists, the other people of which were murdered in broad daylight by a United States missile, right? 2 of them survived. So you would think the 2 people that survived would then be prosecuted, right, for the crimes that they were attempting to commit. Like if they were actual gangsters, narco terrorists bringing fucking 200 pounds, 700 pounds, 1,000 pounds of fentanyl to our shores, right? And they survived this attack, which you only use such egregious and over-the-top methods because you were so goddamn sure that they were narco terrorists trafficking drugs to the United States. And these 2 people survived. Wouldn't one come to the logical conclusion, the logical assumption that these people should be prosecuted, right? Like the Trump administration would be dying to prosecute these people for having survived this, for attempted to, commit this crime, but survived. And now we got a face to the narco terrorists and they can run them through the courts. Like, wouldn't that be the thing to do? So why would they be repatriated to their homeland? And again, another thing, didn't that just say Ecuador? The 2 men that survived last week were repatriated to Ecuador and Colombia. Now, that's funny. I don't have Venezuela in that sentence anywhere. So where were the other people on that boat from? Were they not from Venezuela as well? Was that the Colombian, boat that the president of Colombia was talking about as well? Let's see. It goes on to say, Ecuador's government later released 1 man identified as Andres Fernando Tufino, saying that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. The other man from Colombia reportedly remains hospitalized. The Trump administration officials have repeatedly justified the strikes as counter-narcotics measures necessary to fight drug trafficking organizations, several of which have been designated as terrorists. So not only are they drug traffickers, right? Not only are they narco-fucking drug traffickers, but they're international terrorists that were repatriated back to Colombia and Ecuador. Now, why would we be doing that? As we're rounding up United States citizens, fucking almost 200 of which in our own country, talking about going after the gangsters and the murderers and the criminals, walking down Canal Street where they're selling fucking, fake Gucci hats and fake Gucci belts. That's, to me, a little bit different than murder. That's a little bit different than, I don't know, being a gangster in my eyes, but, I digress. But these people are now going to be like, okay, the 2 people that survived that I designated as terrorists that I'm 100% trying to get you to believe were trafficking narcotics to our country were just, I don't know, apparently just repatriated, were just allowed to skedaddle. They were just given back, not prosecuted, not arrested, right? Doesn't that give away the game? Doesn't that show a big fucking oopsies, right? Isn't that a big fucking oopsies? I wish I had an oopsies sound, but I don't. But if I did, I'd play it. Like, I don't know. That's what it says to me. Because, again, if you were that sure, if you had that much evidence to suggest that these people that you took out on this specific boat were committing that egregious of a crime that you had designated fucking terrorism, why would you let them back to their home country to, I don't know, do it again, if that's who you say they are? But what if it was like we've been saying here on Blunt Politics, these people were, I don't know, people kidnapped by the narco terrorists, people, whose families are being held hostage, and these guys were forced into this line of work. Or, better, even crazier yet, what if they were just fucking fishermen? What if under that black top is just a shitload of bait, or the catch of the day on some ice, right? You see how that works? Because if that's the information that Trump found out, if that's the information that the agencies found out after fucking getting these people, finding them alive and actually knowing who they are, then what's to say the information on any of these other strikes was any good or should be believed, or if there's any at all? And if not, then we as the United States are just murdering people in broad daylight in international waters at will, and then bragging about it on national television. The president of peace now has 35 fucking bodies to add to his body count. A guy that lost spots on that fucking fat ass belt a long time ago after 1 million Americans died because of his mishandling of COVID. So even with that fucking universe-sized belt that fat bastard has to wear, he doesn't even have the time, the energy, or the space for the 1 million plus notches added to, add 35 to that now. Otherwise, it would be very simple for this administration to come out and at least give us some minuscule piece of evidence to suggest that they have some actual intelligence proving that these people are who they say they are. But I haven't seen it. So I can't say just yet whether or not what's going on here. So what do you say we dive on to, again, this is our next story. I didn't mean to take up so much time on that one, but I mean, again, this goes along with the president of peace, the guy that's only supposed to care about America first, doesn't want to get involved in foreign wars and all that horse shit, right? Check this out. So this is from U.S. Homeland Security News, and this is a right-wing account. Believe me, it doesn't take long to go through their fucking account to prove that they are absolutely a right-wing account, posting this. Alert, President Trump has officially designated cartels as terrorist groups and ordering the U.S. military to prepare drone strikes and special ops deep inside Mexico. This is the most aggressive move against the cartels ever. And he goes on to post an 8-minute segment here, I believe, by
Fox News alert.
I just want to see if, and again, the chyron on this is war is brewing. Kind of contradictory to the president of peace, right? That's just a guy that's claiming to has ended 147,387 war, 80, 89, 80, 90, 91. It's going up at the minute. 387,447. He's ended a lot of wars. I'm sorry. The ticker just keeps going up by the second. The wars are ending by the minute. So I apologize if I can't accurately keep up with that. But I just want to see what Jesse has to say for 1 second if he's talking about this whole Mexico situation.
We're at war.
I'm out. I can't even. I'm not lasting through his little fucking propaganda entry, his little intro that he put together. I can't even last that long. So the important part that we got together is what's being highlighted up top. Is that like drone strikes and special ops missions are now being like prepared and planned and okayed deep inside of Mexico. And again, this is something that we called for and told you to watch out for a long time ago, even before Donald Trump was elected, right? That he was going to go after the cartels. You could tell and go back from his rallies and tell just by the way he was talking, he was absolutely going to try to start a war there. I'm surprised it hasn't started sooner because I may be mistaken, but this was one of the first signs of trouble. Like he was already attempting to do this, and it kind of went by the wayside with the whole Gaza and Ukraine situation. But now he's back on it. He's back at it, and now he's trying to once again start a war with the cartels, which I can tell you is not going to be a pushover. Okay, because it's been a long time that these people have been stalking and fucking stacking up U.S. weapons with the exorbitant of wealth that they have built up. And it's just not going to be a pushover. It's not going to be a bloodless battle. Let's just put it that way. So again, the president of peace here is now okaying not only OPSEC missions inside of Venezuela to try to overthrow Maduro, right? Not only has like 10,000 or so U.S. troops, warplanes, warships, submarines, fucking you name it, and we're over there and we got it. Not only has all that been put in place, But again, also now wants to start something a little bit more closer to the homeland, which actually, puts multiple millions of U.S. citizens in danger because they live, within close proximity of where this, so-called battle will take place, right? I mean, does he really think that nobody will be affected and like the cartels aren't going to fight back and try to cause some fucking harm? I mean, we know how like brazen and over the top and like, willing to send a message the cartels are. So again, not something that I would like to see happen, and definitely something that we told you to look out for. So again, just another reason why you should be subscribed to the Blunt Politics podcast, why you should be subscribed to this fabulous channel with the great people in the chat. Because again, if it's not something I know, it's definitely something that the people in the chat know. I always say this: there's 10 or 15 people smarter than me in the chat at all times. So I appreciate you guys. I really do. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your help. And again, I apologize that I haven't figured out this freaking cell phone thing, so I don't have the opportunity to once again thank all the kind people on Venmo, but I promise I will make up for it. I promise I will make up for it as soon as I can get access to a cell phone. This is now like day 3 going on day 4 without a cell phone. So you can just imagine how I feel at this point. Like I'm crawling out of my skin. Like people go 15, 20 minutes without a phone and they don't know what to do. Let's see what you can do for 4 days, mate. All right. Let's see how you can handle. All right. Anyways, let's see if we can get into this, because this is just, I don't know what to think. What do you guys think? I don't know. Like, is this a ploy by Putin and Trump to be like, okay, let's make it look like you're putting in place. Let's make it look like you're being tough after this phone call? I don't know, because it's tough to even characterize this as that when it's the two or one of the two or some of the two largest oil companies in Russia, compounded with what we've seen with Ukraine lately going after the oil refineries and the struggles that Russia has had throughout the country in keeping their gas stations stocked up, right? So it's like, it's hard to see that this won't have an effect. And again, we've learned here on Blunt Politics not to have like ridiculous, like what do you want to call it, like expectations of what sanctions can do or the effect sanctions will have in the time frame that they will have them. I think we kind of learned that with the the original round of sanctions that we thought was going to again cripple the Russia economy. And again, not to say that it hasn't severely weakened it, because it absolutely has, but that like the break and the crack and the actual fucking collapse of that economy just hasn't happened the way that we kind of not predicted, but would have liked to have seen it happen, right? So this is just the announcement of new sanctions on Russian oil companies. And I just want to dive into a little bit of this because, again, this just throws me for a loop, right? Throws me for a loop after we just heard nonstop Russian propaganda and Kremlin talking points come out of that filthy fucking mouth with his tiny ass lips. Nonstop when Vladimir Zelensky was there, right? Made absolutely no use of his latest meeting, made absolutely no use of Zelensky going halfway around the fucking globe to meet with this arsehole. Didn't end up giving him the tomahawks, was like, kind of flaky on, I think, a new Patriot missile deal. I mean, it just, none of it makes sense. And then for Zelensky to leave after what was reported as like this huge shouting match and maps being thrown and, telling Zelensky that fucking Ukraine would be wiped out if Putin actually wanted to. We get today the announcement of more sanctions on Russian, like, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I really don't. Let's get into a little bit of it and maybe it'll become more clear and apparent. But yeah, let's dive into this. This is an NBC. We also have a couple other clips pertaining to this as well. There's a Scott Bessent on Fox Business, where he addresses this as well. So if we don't get the clear picture, and then there's also, let me just see here. Yeah, there's also the announcement. Should I play this first? No, we'll play the NBC clip first, and then I'll play that asshole, and then we'll get into the other clip. So please hit that like button, guys. It helps a lot. I know it may not seem like it does, and you may not think it does, but it really, really does go a long, long way, and it's truly all that you have to do. If you want to do more, you can send a Venmo. You can, sign up at patreon.com. You can become a member here on YouTube. You can send a super chat, a gift of memberships to people. There's a multitude of different ways you can help. But again, just liking and sharing and subscribing are the backbone of the help and the assistance to this channel that I need. So what do you say we dive into this? And again, this is White House announces new Russian sanctions on oil companies. Let's see what the hell is going on here, guys.
Announcing new sanctions on Russia. Those sanctions targeting Russia's two largest oil companies. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez joins me now. Gabe, this had been a step that the president had been pressed on for months. Would they announce more sanctions here today in the wake of canceling?
And just to, kind of bring people up to speed, we remember the secondary sanctions that we were talking about on the show. What was it? I lose track of time. Probably a couple weeks ago at this point, maybe even more, where he put the sanctions on, I believe it was India and anybody that purchased Russian oil. And again, we were talking about the ineffectiveness and how that wasn't really the next step that we had, the next most powerful step in sanctions. And obviously it was a step down, and it was basically giving Putin a break. So as to why in this moment in time, after his phone call where he was spewing Russian propaganda, didn't give Zelensky what he wanted in terms of tomahawks, why all of a sudden now he's deciding to put sanctions on, again, Russia's two largest oil companies. I mean, and this is the country that we talk about as a gas station, masquerading as a fucking country. Right? I mean, this is what they're known for. This is, again, what they do over there. And to have the oil crisis that we've been reporting on here in Blunt Politics for the last, month, 2 months now, compounded with these sanctions may actually have an impact. And I am just I'm shocked, and I don't know what to make of it just yet. Again, any sanctions on Russia, I am welcome to. Any, further actions that benefit Ukraine as opposed to Russia, I am more than welcome to. And again, this goes to my, even after my bashing of everything that Trump had to say, I stand by that. But this is a good sign, but I just can't get into the psyche or, think of an equation or a situation where this comes up today after what we saw. It's crazy. But let's see if we can keep diving into it here.
He had planned to be a trip to meet Vladimir Putin in Budapest. Here, the administration is announcing more sanctions.
Yeah, that's right, Kristen. And look, a senior White House official telling me a short time ago that the president governs by instinct, and he felt the time was right to impose these sanctions. The official also telling me that this was related to the meeting between Vladimir Putin and President Trump falling through. Essentially, the president growing increasingly frustrated that both sides. Okay,
so what that tells me, ladies and gentlemen, and excuse me as I break out into sweat as I get aggravated with like the confusion, the awkwardness, and like the back and forth nature of Trump in what is like a hugely important and dangerous situation. It just like frustrates me so much that you just can't put a finger on it. We don't know. Does our fucking president love Putin? Does he hate Putin? Does he want Ukraine? Who does he want to win? What's going on? Like, we don't know. But what this is telling me is that it wasn't Donald Trump that canceled this meeting, right? This is telling me that it was Vladimir Putin that canceled this meeting, right? And then somewhere on the other end, I can hear Donald Trump saying, well, if you cancel this meeting and you make me look stupid, I'm going to have to put on these sanctions, or I'm going to have to take some sort of step, or at least threatening that he would do so. Like, I can see that happening, but I just don't see that Donald Trump would just off the cuff, cancel the meeting and then announce these without, again, Putin having said something egregious, telling him to fuck off, or telling him that he absolutely doesn't want peace, which hasn't been reported that I've seen. So this is telling me, and again, this is speculation. This is my opinion, having, looked at this situation for a number of years now and knowing these players involved. This is just my assumption and my kind of, 2 cents here. I believe it was Vladimir Putin that canceled this meeting. And knowing how dumb it was going to make Donald Trump look, he decides to say, act like a tough guy, because that's all he cares about, is really looking like the tough guy, looking like he has one up on these people. I don't think he really cares, like, who comes out of this fight with the most land, or who owns what territory, or how many people die on each side. As long as he can sound and come out of this looking like the alpha man that somehow was like stronger than everybody and was able to like get everything done. Like, I think that's all he gives a shit about at this moment in time. Like, to be able to say that he got one over on Putin, told Zelensky what to do, and it was under his command that they stopped this war, is all he gives a shit about, and the praise that will come with it. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. And it's not Donald Trump, as much as he'd love to have you say it, in which he has answered in press conferences. It was him that, that canceled this. And he's asked why he canceled the meeting. And it's because, he didn't think it was going to be productive, right? Does that sound like something Trump would do? cancel a meeting, a handshaking opportunity with Vladimir Putin on the world stage? No, but it does sound like something that Vladimir Putin would do as this is going on in the background, right? Let me put this on. As this is going on in the background, right? So maybe this is all tied together. Russia holds their nuclear drills, right? A show of force, something that they pull out at strategic moments in order to get a specific message across. This time it could be in, retaliation for the talks of the Tomahawks, right? Or this could be just a separate signal along with canceling the meeting to show Donald Trump who's really boss and who's actually getting one over on who, right? Who controls who. So there's a lot of fucking, like I say, backdoor games, a lot of fucking optical games that are being played in this whole thing as well. Like a lot of dick, pissing contests and dick measuring contests that go into this type of stuff. But never something you want to hear when Russia holds nuclear drills. If you're Donald Trump trying to, again, get the world to believe that you're like the man in charge and Putin's ready to listen to every word that you have to say, right? And I'm not sure. Was there a video? Yeah, let me see if there was. Does this actually, maybe we can get this done? Yeah, here's the video describing, showing their launches. I'll just play this for a second on there. Check this out. Get some sound. Bam.
Signaled something different. The Kremlin published video of what it said were drills involving nuclear weapons, including practice launches of intercontinental ballistic missiles. Russian President Vladimir Putin has issued
now, if you look, the videos, the trees, and you kind of have to look at this stuff when Russia puts out a fucking propaganda video like this. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if there was supposed to be 7 feet of snow on the ground at this time in this place, and they just put out a video like this that was blatantly in like, late spring, early fall type of thing with no snow on the ground. Be like, yeah, that was taken yesterday. So you kind of have to do your due diligence anytime that Russia puts out a video like this. But the trees, and it does match up with what the trees would and do look like in the area, for the time of year in the weather that they're having, right? So that's at least one thing that matches up.
Fears of Russia's nuclear might as a warning to Kiev and its Western allies at key moments in the war. The exercises come a day after the U.S. said it had paused plans for a meeting between Putin and Trump focused on Ukraine. That was the latest twist in months of stalled diplomacy. Putin and Trump spoke last week and unexpectedly announced they
Yeah, we know that one. We know the rest of that one. So again, just wanted to, maybe that's all tied together in this whole thing. Let me put this back on the screen. Just again, my speculation, just kind of my 2 cents on that.
Both sides have not been able to agree to a ceasefire, but as you said, those sanctions just being announced within the past few minutes by the Treasury Department against Russia's 2 largest oil companies and dozens of subsidiaries as well. So certainly this is something that Ukraine had called for, but Ukraine had wanted the United States to go further and approve and provide those long-range Tomahawk missiles, which President Trump has not yet done. But it does appear again just this afternoon. We got wind of it earlier this afternoon from the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who indicated that these sanctions were coming. And again, just a few moments ago, Kristen, the U.S. slapping new sanctions on Russia's 2 largest oil companies, Kristen.
Now, speaking of Scott Bessent, let's see if he kind of gives us any more information as to, what kind of changed the tone, why these are now being implemented. Why the change just from literally what Donald Trump was saying, 24 hours ago? Like, we're not talking about days and weeks ago. Like, we're talking about just the other day, what he was saying. So let's see what Scott Bessent has to say. This is where he's questioned by Larry Laylow here.
So there's also talk today, Scott, not the first time, sanctions on those who purchase Russian oil or perhaps other sanctions on Russia itself. Can you shed any light on that?
Larry, as you know, and the world can see, President Trump is the president of peace.
And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but how the fuck on the God's green earth, somebody looked at Scott Bessent, heard him speak, and was like, that guy needs to be in front of a camera. Like, that guy should be in a position of power that definitely has him doing live interviews on national television pretty much daily, if not multiple times daily. Because he's the most uncomfortable motherfucker I've ever seen speak about such serious and like geopolitical issues, and he's never really sure of the answer he's gonna give, and it's always sounds like he's like playing with his feet under the table, and he's like really unsure of himself. But he's speaking about really important issues. But please put me on national television. I will very much calm the questions of the citizenry that you have. Jesus H. Christ.
Done peace deals, trade deals.
Look at even Larry
tax
Kudlow.
deals.
You see Larry? Even Larry's like, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, watch Larry. Watch Larry.
Larry, as you know, and the world can see, President Trump is the president.
Looks like Larry's about to fall asleep. Looks like Larry's eyes weigh about 714 pounds apiece. Easy on the old fucking grandpa's cough syrup there before the old show there, Larry. Huh? Little fucking boozy Larry we got here. Unless he's on some fucking antidepressants or something. You see him, he's like, that's what Scott Bessent does to you. So, apparently this is what happens if you talk to Scott Bessent for too long. But watch him here, where Scott's just like completely out of it. And then Larry's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Check this out.
In a piece. He's done
Look at
peace.
like, oh, Jesus Christ. I got to speak to this guy for another fucking 10 minutes. How am I going to stay awake? Stay awake, Larry. Stay awake. Keep your eyes open, Larry. Keep your eyes open.
Deals, trade deals, tax deals, and
Larry's sleeping. I'm sorry. Larry's about a second and a half away from not. I know that we're supposed to be listening to what Scott Bessent is saying, but I can't even pay attention. I can't even pay attention to it. Hold on. Watch Larry's eyes. Watch Larry's eyes. This is a guy that is struggling mightily to either stay involved in this conversation, stay alive as a human being, or awake on the set of Fox Business.
Larry, as you know,
Larry's eyes are closed, struggling to open.
And the world can
and they closed again.
See, President Trump is the president of peace. He's done peace.
And yep, Larry, do anything. Just touch your face. Wake yourself up. Turn up the radio, Larry. Turn up the radio really loud. And if it's cold, stick your head out the window doing about 75. Should wake you right up. If not, just smack yourself in the cheeks a couple times. Or have the guy in the back seat slap you in the back of the neck. That ought to wake you up.
Trade deals, tax deals, and part of the peace deal, the real remaining final conflict in the world, this would be the 9th one that he has found a solution to, would be between Russia and Ukraine. President Putin has not...
Scott's way behind the times. Doesn't he know that Donald Trump ended that within 24 hours of being elected? Come on, Scott. Jeez, gosh.
To the table in an honest and forthright manner, as we'd hoped. There were talks in Alaska. President Trump walked away when he realized that things were not moving forward. There have been...
Did he? Is that what he did? Did he walk away? Because I think there's a shitload of pictures of him sitting there shaking Putin's hand and not forcing Putin to answer any questions from the media about the civilians that he's killed, about the 20,000 plus Ukrainian kids that he's kidnapped. I remember that. I don't remember this whole walking away shit.
The scenes talk, but I believe that the president is disappointed at the...
All right, thank you.
Where we are in these talks. So either this evening or first thing tomorrow morning, we are going to be announcing a substantial increase in Russia's sanctions. I'm not going to give you the exact sanctions, but I can tell you that this will be one of the largest sanctions that we have done against the Russian Federation.
So these sanctions would be on the sale of Russian oil, or would this be secondary sanctions on all business with Russia? Can you help us out there?
These are sanctions, not secondary tariffs.
And this would affect China, which is, I think, the largest purchaser.
So again, nothing to really suggest, like, why the shift or like why the immediate change in his rhetoric or the stance again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nothing to really say, okay, this happened to suggest, or this was said in the phone call with Putin. Like, Putin said, okay, fuck you all, or like, I'm never, I'm going to blow the whole place up, or, I'll never want peace. Like, something, give us something. Like, there must be something in there, which lead me to believe that it might have been Putin in the U.S. trying to get ahead of Putin canceling that meeting to say that they canceled the meeting. Again, now we see the Russian, the nuclear launches again, which probably aren't nuclear launches, just, nuclear capable equipment that they have, which is what they're famous for doing, right? I'm surprised that it even happened that way. But again, that leads us to this, because Donald Trump was also questioned on this. Let me see if I can bring this in for you guys as well. And I think I have it at the right spot. If not, I might have it marked somewhere. But I think this is the moment where he's asked about these sanctions. And I'm just curious if he gives us, again, any insight, any clues as to why now, why these sanctions, and why now, why the change.
Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you tell us a little bit about why you're elevating sanctions against Russia right now?
So the question is, just in case you can't hear it, why he's elevating sanctions against Russia right now. So let's see what he has to say. Maybe he gives us a little look at this fucking dopey crew. Look at that dopey ass crew on the other side of the couch. I mean, not the NATO side of the couch, the other side of the couch. Look at hey, at least Hegseth took off his Russian tie, ladies and gentlemen. At least he took off the Russian tie. All right, let's see what his answer is.
I just felt it was time.
He just, I'm not accepting that answer. I'm just not accepting that answer. Less than 48 hours after you threw maps at Zelensky, right? Less than 48 hours after you're telling everybody that, Putin could just steamroll over Ukraine if he really wanted to, and that everybody should be just kind of, dropping their guns where they lay and everybody keep the territory that you now hold. I'm not buying it that you just woke up and were like, you know what? Today's a good day for those incredibly harsh sanctions on the two largest Russian oil companies.
It a long time. I thought that we'd go long before the Middle East. And Mark, as you know, we did the Middle East +7. So we did 7 different wars from Pakistan and India.
I just have to say, I know it's the game that he has to play, but to see Mark Rutte here, have to fucking play the game and kiss the boot, you know what I mean, to play along with this bullshit, all these the position that all these dignitaries find themselves in when they're in this Oval Office situation with the reporters and Trump going on there and with this propaganda and this horse shit, and they're just kind of sitting there like, oh God, please don't ask me anything about it, please don't ask me about it, and they got to kind of heap praise on him because they know that's how they get what they want out of him, but it's just it turns your stomach. Because at some point, you just want somebody to be like, sir, you didn't end fucking 8 wars. You've now given Vladimir Putin much more time than he actually should have. You haven't ended this thing in 24 hours. He's been bitch slapping you at every turn. How about some actual fucking policy? You've made this incredibly difficult for not only NATO, but for Zelensky, on top of the already incredibly difficult situation that he faces just against Russia by itself, right? And it's you just want somebody, but that's not how you handle it. I know, which is why I'll probably never be a head of state. I'm not, in line to be a dignitary by any means, right? But, just kind of what I would do when I got up there, if I got up there.
To so many,
Azerbaijan media,
which they said was impossible to do. All these wars I did, and the one that we have left, we have 1 left. It'll be 9. We have 1 left, and I think we'll get that done.
How many will that be? It'll be 9. I think that's 9 wars. Let's get to all 9. I want 9 wars finished. Give me 9.
I think we're on our way to getting it.
We have to.
Please.
All right. So again, what is the next question?
Do you have a timeline for when you think the war is going to be over because of your leadership?
No, I don't have a timeline.
Do you have a timeline for when you think this war is going to be over because of your leadership? Is the question. And he says, no, I have no timeline. It's funny how that 24-hour thing went way by the wayside really quick.
You can't have in war. It's hard to have a timeline. So many things happen.
But it didn't stop you from saying a timeline before you got elected in order to get elected, right? That whole 24-hour thing. Again, we continue to repeat.
In war, go ahead.
What about Tomahawk missiles? Putin is definitely
Well, the problem with the Tomahawk that a lot of people don't know, it'll take a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, to learn how to use them. They're highly complex. So the only way a Tomahawk is going to be shot is if we shot it, and we're not going to do that. But there is a tremendous learning curve.
Wait a minute. You just said that there's no stop time. You can't give an end. So why, we're already well past 6 months, even if that's the case, which I'm not even sure is the fucking case. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, I'm not too highly skilled or knowledgeable on the actual skills or training it takes to launch these. I know they have already been tested to be launched from the ground as opposed to the ship-based missile system that it's known as. So I don't know. Obviously, there's already been some sort of testing and research done. So obviously, there's got to be people there familiar with the systems. I did say before in a podcast that I don't think it's wrong when Putin said that there seemingly must be some sort of U.S. involvement in this because of to get the most out of these weapon systems. It uses U.S. satellites, U.S. imagery, different components and different aspects of our military in order to get the most, effective strike and, bring that 1,000-kilogram fucking payload onto the target in the most effective area, right? So it's like, it was kind of strange to me. It was kind of, up in the air as to whether or not, how they could get this accomplished without any U.S., based backing on it or involvement on it. But what the fuck are we told them that we would defend them if they were to give up their nukes in the case that Russia attacked them. And that's exactly what they're doing. So why don't we step up? Like, why are we stopping and making it so difficult? We got to send it to NATO, and NATO's got to send it to fucking Ukraine. Like, again, just making it more difficult at every turn. Makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I'm getting all freaking worked up again just even thinking about it. But, I don't think he gives any more in this.
Mark, it's a very powerful weapon, very accurate weapon, and maybe that's what makes it so complex. But it will take a year.
No, that's why it makes. Wait a minute. He just said a year. He just said 6 months.
It takes a year of intense training to learn.
He just said 6 months, not 2 seconds before that. Hold on.
And we're not going to do that.
Hold on.
So the only way a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, to learn how.
6 months. No, make it a year. Make it 7 years. It's probably about a 30-year training program in order to shoot these things. Like, oh my God. And then it went before, it was like, yeah, we'll send them, but it's only going to be 20 to 50 of the damn things. All right, let's move on. Because if I stay on that anymore, I'm going to sweat through my shirt and I'll explode because I get so frustrated with all this bullshit that he says. All right, what do you say we hop into? Let's see. There's so many things that I wanted to talk about. We could do. Let's do. What's better to talk about? Let's do better. Let's do this one. Let's do Megyn Kelly making fun of all the protesters. But give me just a second. I'm going to put this on the screen for you guys. Right? I'm going to put this on here and I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry. I put so much energy and passion into these shows that I get worked up and I get like overheated and I'm, overcome with emotion. All right, let me say here, this is Megyn Kelly reacts to vile and hateful No Kings protesters the corporate media wants you to ignore. So Megyn Kelly apparently has images in video not seen on media yet that the media won't show you to depict just how vile and hateful and nasty and disgusting and shit you people are, right? None of the mainstream media and all of the cameras that they had out with the millions of people out there were able to pick up what somehow Megyn Kelly was able to pick up. So what do you say we just get through a couple minutes of this bullshit and let her kind of make an ass out of herself as she typically does. But again, Megyn Kelly showing us, again, the evidence that nobody else has seen to accurately prove you guys as being vile and hateful. All right. So, you vile, hateful people. Let's get into it.
Looking at the legacy media coverage describing the No Kings protests as peaceful, joyful, and as the Washington Post put it.
And again, I got to stop you right off the bat, Megyn, because it wasn't so much like the media and it wasn't so much like the protesters themselves giving them credit for like being peaceful, which they were. It was them looking at, again, the multitude of sheriff departments, police departments all throughout the country that were literally out there praising the protesters themselves for being so peaceful, for, all the fucking posts you saw. We made 0 arrests. We made 0 arrests, 0 arrests, 0 arrests. So again, it was just that may have been picked up on by the media, but it wasn't the media that started this whole, peaceful protester situation. That's just what happened. That's the reality. That's what was reported on. And that's what the police departments and the sheriff's departments accurately were, applauding the people for doing. So again, sorry, hate to stop you so close in. I mean, so shortly in, but here we go.
A street carnival-like atmosphere. Oh, it's just a fair. It's a day at the fair. Watch.
Massive groups of protesters gathered in cities and towns across the country today, part of a day of so-called No Kings demonstrations.
Look at them all, guys. Look at all of these unbelievably hateful and vile people. You'll see them. I mean, there's 4 boxes, 4 different screens. Let me get out of your way. So you can see all these monsters Look at them all. Let it play, Brian. Let it play. Okay.
Protesting the Trump administration.
Oh, look at them all.
Organizers behind the No Kings movement say it's about democracy versus dictatorship.
They said it's about democracy over dictatorship. What a bunch of monsters.
The key takeaway from the weekend is how peaceful these were.
People were out on a Saturday.
Oh no, the tacos were out? You gotta be kidding me. The all hateful, the all powerful and ever violent tacos were out. You have to be. They even have signs that say anti-democratic, corrupt, and oligarchs. Oh, the humanity. How do we live in this society anymore, people? Oh, you vile, hateful people with smiles on your face in the sunshine with the funny costumes with a bunch of like-minded people. Anyway, she goes on.
They love America because they love this country. They love the Constitution.
The mood here, for the most part, is playful at times, but what we haven't seen in
I mean, this guy, he's got about 3 seconds to live. If he knew better, I can't believe he's out there. He doesn't even have a helmet on. He doesn't have a loaded AR-15. He doesn't even have a mask on. This guy's screwed. He's going to last about 13 seconds with these wild animal, lion, vicious tigers that are out there causing mischief and mayhem and lighting people on fire. These guys are just unbelievably cruel and hateful and vile, but are just happy to speak to this guy and give him an interview and let him walk alongside them and show, hey, check out my sign, sir. Can I put it on TV? Other than that, they're vile, hateful, racist monsters.
Majority of these locations is even a whiff of violence.
From all
The guy specifically is like, listen, the one thing I haven't seen here, I've seen a lot of shit, smelt a lot of smells, one of them being marijuana, but what I haven't seen is any violence, as Megyn Kelly's literally using this in her segment to make everybody, all of us, seem like vile, hateful, and violent people. Like, again, do they do any work whatsoever in like researching these clips and like trying to actually, like, I don't know, put together some coherent fucking theme? I don't know.
Footage I could see, these were ordinary folks. They were determined to be peaceful, to carrying flags.
Nope, they're not peaceful. You can see right there. I'll play it for you again.
They were determined.
These people are violently treating those buckets. Look at how violently they're treating those buckets. Watch. They even have little sticks they're using they're beating those buckets. You bucket beaters. I can't believe you sick bucket beaters. How could you? Release the bucket files.
To carrying flags, talking about their love of the country, not their hatred of it.
Not for nothing, but that MSNBC anchors the cities says everything you need to know about why you're not watching MSNBC, right? The elitist, snob-like, then Scarborough. They're out there because they love America and they love the Constitution. Do they?
Yes. That's why on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, instead of, I don't know, doing anything fucking else, people were out in the same area with similar signs, with people that cared, that were out there, again, like I said, giving up their free time on a Saturday to make sure that the people knew that they weren't alone and they were together and that they fucking didn't agree with what this regime was doing. So to answer the question, yes, would be the answer on that one. That would be a big yes on that.
From any of that coverage, or the coverage anywhere, terms like liberal, leftist, and socialist. I mean, good luck. Why aren't you?
Well, it's funny because everybody was out there. So it would have been pretty stupid to put some single moniker on this whole situation, when in reality there were conservatives, there were lefties, there were progressives, there were independents, there was unaffiliated, right? There were people that are not necessarily political but understand the moment. Right? Everybody was out there. Everybody. So for the papers to be like, oh, it's progressive lefties, it was just, that would be incorrect. That would be false. And that's why they didn't do that. But when it's a Trump rally, right? When it's like a KKK march, I think one can safely assume that the overwhelming, if not entire population of that meeting would be highly conservative, if not outright Republican.
Do a Google search for yours truly or anybody.
Hey, Google! Hey, Google! Tell me you guys have seen that. If you haven't seen that video after the show, go and Google Hey Google. Googoo, and you will not be disappointed. It's so good.
you follow on the right and see if they ever discuss a figure like Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh or me or Tucker without saying right, far right, conservative. They don't. You must be labeled.
See, that's because they're speaking about one singular person in the examples that you just gave, as opposed to, I don't know, 7 million separate individuals. So it's very easy for somebody to be like, okay, this self-proclaimed Republican, this self-proclaimed conservative, or this self-proclaimed Nazi is that, like, is as such, is as represented, is what it says on the tin. Like, you guys have said that before. So it's not like over the top crazy and lunacy for this paper to be like conservative Megyn Kelly, Republican Megyn Kelly, Republican conservative Ben Shapiro. Like, that's not the same as calling 7 million people one thing, which they weren't. It's just not how that works.
In order for them to discuss you, because they need the audience to know enemy. They don't do that when they talk about the left doing their thing. It's celebrated.
And again, why anybody on the right would be so willing and so like quick to give the left so much power, right? To say that every single person out there was on the left. Like, why would they want to be so quick? I would be hesitant to want, to look at those videos and to look at what was going on and be like, everybody on that screen right now is my enemy, is my opponent. Like, that's what we have to contend against. I would not want that represented to my chat, right? Like, I would be like, I don't know, if I was Megyn Kelly, of course, we don't have to worry about that because we are the majority. We do have the numbers. We have the numerical superiority, which we need to use. So again, we don't have to worry about that.
Beautiful American display. No deep dives on all the left-wing organizations that took part in, and in some cases funded this thing. Like the Communist Party, USA, that's a thing. Yeah, we reported an AM update today. They said, well, we're not necessarily like, don't make it about the National Arm. This is really more of a New York thing. We know the National Arm supported Fidel Castro, but like, we got some goals in New York State. And by the way, they're about to have a mayor elected who's a communist, self-described socialist, thin line.
Again, said by somebody that clearly would know a communist if they were fucking bit on the ass by one. Okay.
Parenthood behind some of these gigs, the ACLU, of course, Al Sharpton's National Action Network. Hey, MSNBC, is that fine? Checking for a friend. It's okay for him to be funding the very protests that you're now covering with your city's anchor, as though he's a straight news anchor on a straight news platform that's going to disclose the conflicts that exists.
Are you trying to tear more rights away from the American citizens? Is he not like legally allowed to, again, support the rights and the beliefs and the groups that he believes in? I'm sorry. Is that just more rights that the right is trying to strip from free Americans? Because it sounds to me like that's what you want to do. Like he should not be allowed to engage in free speech and engage to, in free will and who we could support and represent. Right. It seems like that's what you're trying to get across in that message.
They broadcast on. Are you doing that? I'm not sure. Because let me tell you, even in my lane over here in podcasting, where my own boss, if I had funded a story that I were covering for you,
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that. Rachel says, local PSL chapter was at the rally and well received. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And again, I overwhelmingly show my appreciation to every single one of you guys that got out there. I appreciate it.
Absolutely tell you. Why? Because it shows you what my bias may be. Like, of course, we're not surprised, but it's still worth calling out. These stories that I'm about to show you of some of the troubling moments.
Oh, please get to it. Show me these troubling moments. Let's get to it. Let's see what this first troubling moment is. Okay, here's a troubling moment.
Rather Trump get guillotined or Luigi Mangione?
Guillotine.
The hair.
I want to watch it just go.
Oh, shit. Oh, I gotta say, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that one coming. I gotta say. And it must be said, I do not support any of those. I do not support any of the questions or any of the answers here. But this almost sounds like an incredible plant to me, right? This almost sounds like it just go put on a Just Stop Oil shirt. Let's see if we can get in the middle of the crowd and like just sound and act as like ridiculously over the top violent as we possibly can to make it seem like any of these people really had this to say or wanted to say that. Like, that's just kind of the vibes that I'm getting here. I'm getting like psyop fucking like really like placed into this spot type of vibes here, because that's just kind of over the top ridiculous. It seems to be that one guy she's got clips of too. Like, it's only that one guy.
All the kids. Ivanka first.
Mitch McConnell, very nice. Mitch McConnell, who just fell and had a moment of physical infirmity. Yeah, he needs to be tortured too. They all have to be tortured.
What's this one?
Because I have two little boys who deserve a bright future of freedom and democracy. And
so sweet.
This is a nightmare that I'm living in.
But see, that sounds a lot different. That sounds like a lot more likely of the person you are like likely to run into on one of these fucking protests than the guy in the orange shirt. Like, is that that's pretty much something we could say, right? We could say that. Like, that's, you guys were out there. You guys were out and about. Like, you guys spoke to people. Did you run into anybody like the guy in the green in the orange shirt? Because I didn't. I didn't see anybody out there like that. I didn't see anybody, fucking actively calling for, murder or violence or anything like that. It was actually quite the opposite, right? As much as, people were showing anger and frustration, it just wasn't being said where I was. I'm just kind of curious what you guys were seeing. And that's more along lines.
No, you wake up tomorrow morning. I hope that I see the obituary that we're all.
I mean, again, maybe you don't like hearing it, Megan. Maybe you don't like hearing it, but a lot of people wishing, I don't know, the natural cause avenue, right? People wishing for that natural cause avenue, waiting for those Whoppers and cheeseburgers to catch back up with those Diet Cokes. A lot of people have that sentiment. I hate to fucking put it out there. And it's even better. It's even better that people have that sentiment, and we're even able to get out there and be peaceful, even with that sentiment. But it's not the first time or the last time somebody's going to say, please let McDonald's do its goddamn job. Just not going to be the last time. So again, natural causes. What else? Does she got any like actual moments of violence or anything? Let's see here. What's this one? Let's see what this craziness is.
Shooting herself in the neck and appearing to mouth the word bang. This woman is a pig. She's a fucking vile.
So what's going on here is Megan really wants to highlight the three people now? The three people that she's highlighted in this 24-minute clip. And she wants to get that to somehow represent the 7 million people that were out there, right? The 7 million people that were out there, right? Now, she wants to somehow get you to believe that everybody that you're seeing was just like that. And again, one of them, I'm pretty sure, was a fucking psyop right-wing plant. Again, Just Stop Oil. I don't know. Never really been... it just seems too easy of a disguise to put on with the microphone and then go out there and start talking about, chopping of the dooms. But what do you say I can't stand her vagina background any longer anyway. What do you say we get rid of that one? We'll go over to this one, and we'll take a look at the ongoing MAGA clash that we've been looking at and talking about here. We haven't dove back into this story in a couple days. It's probably been about a week actually. We haven't dove back into this one. So I'm kind of excited to get back into this one because this situation is escalating, I must say. Like, it is escalating at a rapid rate where MAGA is like, people like Candace Owens, this guy here, other content creators, because it's actually this guy watching another MAGA creator's video on Kash Patel. So there's kind of like, 9 degrees of separation here. But their just willingness to call Kash Patel a moron, to say that he's lying, to call him like incompetent, right? The rift that is growing here, again, between Candace and all these people, the FBI, what is it? The governor of Utah there. It's just a beautiful sight to see. And that's what I want to continue to highlight here, because this is FBI's Kash Patel calls Charlie Kirk YouTubers anarchists, and those YouTubers are not happy about it. And these are the people that I said are actively making content, calling out Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, the evidence in this case. So let's go. Let's just dig into a little bit of the dispute, a little bit of the spat, and a little bit of the position that Kash Patel now finds himself in. Because it doesn't just have to do with Charlie Kirk. This also has a lot to do with the old Epstein files. You guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, the old pedophile files, baby. Here we go. What do you say we dive into this? And then after this, if we have enough time, which we probably should, we also have J.D. Vance's bullshit in Israel. I want to listen to one of the answers that he has to the questions that we've been talking about here about the returning of the deceased hostages. And what J.D. Vance says very much contradicts what's in the not ceasefire agreement and what has been said by both the United States and Israel. So again, that's, if we have time, we'll dive into that. But what do you say we get back into these jokers here? And again, titled FBI's Kash Patel's Charlie calls Charlie Kirk YouTubers anarchists. All right. And again, this is stemming from the gag order put in place by the judge in Tyler Robinson's case, where he's saying that like no witnesses, nobody involved with the case, no media is allowed to talk about the case. So let's see what he has to say here. Let's see what this is all about.
That's what we do to shut down a faulty prosecution. That's what we do to shut down.
This gentleman here on the lower right-hand screen, watching this gentleman here on the lower left-hand screen, watch Kash Patel on what looks to be Real America's Voice or something like that. So just a little background.
A system of justice that wants to be
and again, just before we go into it, the gentleman on the right here, in case you're wondering or saying that looks familiar, this is the guy that I played the video, accurately calling out the angles and the bullet use and the damage and what vertebrae was hit. Like, this is the same guy that had the in-depth video calling out the bullshit coming out of the FBI and the evidence in this case. So just in case you're like, that guy looks familiar.
By these same anarchists, then that's what they're doing.
Wow. So there you go. We're anarchists, guys. Me, retired Green Beret, served the nation, 10 years in Army Special Forces, went and fought the wars. I'm an anarchist because your story about a 30-06 not blowing Charlie Kirk's head off doesn't make sense. A judge has no.
I just noticed too. Look what it says in the background. Huh? He's got the old Valhalla sign. What does Kash Patel say at that press conference where Charlie Kirk died? I'll see you in Valhalla. Something along those lines. All right. So, all right.
Privilege to prevent parties from communicating, which is granted by the First Amendment. So the only thing you'll be gagging is on our collective YouTube dicks.
Clearly not happy with Kash Patel. Clearly got something to say. So I'll skip his intro. What do you say?
Patel has come out swinging against content creators and YouTubers like myself who've had the audacity to question the FBI's official narrative in the Charlie Kirk case and calling us evil conspiracy theorists, anarchists, bad faith actors, and saying we're going to ruin
again,
Charlie
Kirk. This is
Kirk.
Kash Patel. Just to highlight, Kash Patel speaking about MAGA creators, about conservative Republican creators, not the left, not the lunatic left or the fringe left or whatever they want to fucking call it, right? This is him talking about his own people here, which is why I want to highlight this. I know, it's probably not right up on the top of everybody's page to listen to, again, these morons talk about Charlie Kirk again. But again, that's not what I'm here to highlight. I'm here to highlight the rift in their ability and willingness to continue to call out Kash Patel, but also their willingness and ability to keep Donald Trump somehow separated from all of this.
Families' lives, and we're going to cost the prosecution its case. Wow. Bold words from a guy who used to be a podcaster whose show was just pushing conspiracy theories. Odd. But that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. There's also a new gag order being placed on everybody, I guess, that no one's allowed to talk about this case. We'll see about that. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Let's this over on I Am Coach Colin's YouTube channel. Great YouTube channel. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. We're going to watch that. And yeah, let's go through what old Layaway Patel.
Kash Patel.
Old Layaway Patel. And again, this is the other gentleman he was talking about here. And you can see the Joe Rogan poster, Joe Rogan picture in the background in case you're like, how do we know he's a conservative? How do we know he's a Republican? How do you know he's on that side? Because he's watching Kash Patel on fucking Real America's Voice with Joe Rogan staring at him in the background. And it looks to be he's from Texas because I can see Texas behind him as well. So, I'm just kind of putting pieces together here.
And what he's now saying about these rogue people who are not doing a service to anybody. Listen to this.
I think that the militant trans issue
really became familiar to the American people last month when Charlie Kirk was killed. I mean, you guys at breakneck speed found this guy, you identified him, you profiled the type of...
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. He was fucking turned in by his pastor and his father, right? Whatever the fuck. They didn't go out and find him at breakneck speed. Odd choice of words to use in this situation as well, considering Charlie's death. But, you know, I digress. Probably look past that on this one. I'm not sure MAGA will, but I will look past that choice, ironic choice of words that you had on that one. But yeah, I just want to kind of reiterate the fact that no, the FBI did not, like, at breakneck speed go out there and catch this guy. They didn't even know who the fuck it was. They didn't know anything about it until he was waltzed into a police station by, again, his own fucking pastor or whatever the fuck, right? So again, the work was done for the FBI. So again, trying to rewrite history in this aspect is not going to work, especially when your own side isn't going to allow you to rewrite history. Like when they're on the ball and they're pissed off to the point where they're going to call you out for your bullshit, then you're definitely not going to get to rewrite history.
person that he would be. And that's incredible.
Friendly reminder, no, they fucking didn't. Cash Patel keeps telling you the FBI found him in 3 hours. No, you fucking didn't. His dad's friend recognized.
See, even they're not going to let it swing. They're not going to let him they're not going to let him do it. They're not going to let him do it. Right? So even Cash is going to have a hard time swinging this one because he's been put in the position, the same as Pam Bondi, left out there to the wolves, left out there to the MAGA wolves to be feasted upon so that Donald Trump can make a run for it in the other direction and stay unscathed. Right? So now they're finding themselves in this position, and now they're getting eaten up by the wolves right here.
Him and convinced Tyler to turn himself in. Stop saying that. You didn't find shit.
Incredible. Is there more evidence that you guys can offer to people, maybe video from that roof? Do you expect that there will be more to be released?
I think the best thing we can do for Charlie, especially me as FBI director and our team, is to prosecute this case in the courts of law, where it is, in Utah, in the state of court of law. And what we're going to do is what we've done.
In the state of court of law, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody knows that you prosecute these things in the state of court of law.
Do for Charlie, especially me as FBI director and our team, is to prosecute this case in the courts of law, where it is, in Utah, in the state of court of law.
And state of court of law. I've been there many a times. The Utah state of court of law of jurisdiction of Utah.
What we're going to do is what we've done. Give them every piece of evidence we collect. Our cellular analysis systems are the best in the world, and that's what the FBI does, and that's what we flew in and did. That's how we led the manhunt and got him in 33 short hours.
Again, no, you did not. No, you did not. What? Again, this fucking rewriting of history bullshit isn't gonna fly. It was widely reported, one of the most widely reported on things in the last, I don't know, several fucking years at least. You're not going to get away with saying and trying to get people to forget that the guy, the boy, the dude had to be waltzed into a police department by his goddamn parents and a pastor. It's just, you're not going to, it makes me believe all the other evidence even less that you're willing to sit here and try to rewrite this bullshit that we saw with our own fucking eyes, seen reported by the media, put in fucking articles, and then re-reported 19 friggin' times. Like, we know the story, dude. Just like we know that you know more about the Epstein files. Just like we know before you got into this position, you really wanted to expose those Epstein files because you had a fucking show talking about it. But apparently now they don't exist. There's no credible evidence. Apparently Jeffrey Epstein trafficked underage girls to himself only, which makes a total bunch of fucking sense.
Every single piece.
No, you didn't. He turned himself in.
Yeah, even he's not going to let him. Yeah. For the second time, he's not going to let him get away with it. He's just not going to let him do it.
Thanks to a family friend.
Piece of video or forensic evidence or witness interview, we've done dozens and dozens, gone on these platforms, found every single person, all of that material. And I know this is frustrating to the public, and I understand it, but I'm not going to allow the Charlie Kirk prosecution to be dismantled because we want to get over our skis in public.
That's exactly what you did, buddy, multiple times. Do you forget when you did this on the first day, right when he was shot? You forget about this one, bro?
It says the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in. Oh, yeah. So this is when fucking Kash Patel was originally reporting that the guy was in custody, and they had to come out and say, no, it was the wrong guy. He's not in custody. We're still looking. Oh, no, we got another one in custody. Nope, that's the wrong guy, too. Don't worry about it. We're still ongoing to the manhunt. Oh, no, actually, the father just walked him in the police station. So great job, FBI. Great job. So to not get over your skis, I think you failed in that mission literally the day of the shooting, Cash. And again, let's go on.
Subject of the horrific shooting today took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Oh, and then he was in custody. We got him. Oh, and then we had somebody else in custody. Oh, turns out it's just an old man with a pellet rifle. We don't got him. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure all you've done is get out ahead of your skis. But now, of course, you don't want to release anything more. Got it.
Is there any possibility?
Again, I reiterate that these are conservative creators. This is, people that are the most willing to accept the bullshit from this administration, right? The most willing. And now they've already done this complete turn and been like, listen, I'm done with this guy. We've been fed bullshit. Now he's trying to, label us as anarchists, and you know what I mean? So Cash is actually kind of trying to lump them in with the lefties now, and they don't like that. They don't like that.
Other people were involved. When you talked at the White House, I sort of got a little inkling that maybe you're looking at other people.
We're looking at everyone that was there, that was online, and we're looking to refer these matters to the state prosecution authorities when there's enough evidence. But the reality is, again, with social media, when you have hysterical conspiracy theories filling the void, you're harming Charlie and his family and a rightful prosecution.
Okay, let's break that down, because that's obviously total bullshit. First of all of these conspiracy theories are because of you, the FBI. Why? Oh, I don't know, because you told us that a 30-06 was used and there's no exit wound. And, well, there's a video of Tyler Robinson walking with the gun in his pants when he very clearly doesn't have a gun in his pants. And, again, you thought you had the right shooter, and then you didn't. And then you thought he had him again, and then you didn't. Right? You told us that his dad turned him in when it turns out that wasn't true at all. It was a family friend that did it. So you are the reason. You are the reason why there's so many conspiracy theories, not the internet. And let me make this clear, because you're going to keep hearing this from the government, the FBI, the judge, the governor, is that these YouTubers spreading conspiracies are going to ruin the case for the prosecution. That's not how the fucking system works. The prosecution either has the evidence to back up their claims and prosecute Tyler Robinson, or they don't. I mean,
right. No matter what you think of the guy, right? He's 100% right. It doesn't matter what these people say online. You either have the evidence to suggest and back up what you're trying to, suggest happen in court, or you don't. Doesn't matter what is speculated on the internet. Doesn't matter what's on X or what's on YouTube. You either have the goods or you don't have the goods, right? So to come out here and be like, anybody talking about this is putting the case at risk is it's asinine. And it's, again, just trying to get people to stop talking about it so that they stop looking stupid. So people stop questioning the motives. People stop questioning the evidence put forward to get people, again, to silence. Fucking, it's crazy. So now these MAGA people don't like the fact that they have free speech. They don't mind when the free speech is being taken from lefties, right? They don't mind when it's being taken from Democrats or, asylum seekers or undocumented immigrants. They don't mind that. But when it's taken from them, when they see that their free speech is being stripped or their rights are being trampled upon, now it's a fucking problem. You see how that works? You see how that works? You see why, us on this side, when we see our rights and other people's rights and marginalized communities being trampled upon, we get so upset, but you guys laugh at it. But when it happens to you, you guys are fucking the first people out there being loud and proud about it. See how that works, guys? See how hypocrisy works?
Only thing that YouTubers talking about this harms the prosecution for is if you don't have any evidence to back it up, then it's a big problem for you. And that seems to be what's really going on and why you're so panicked, Cash.
Of his alleged assassin, who we have in custody, and rightly so, in my opinion. And if anyone helped him, do you think that we at this FBI are literally going to let them get away with it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that is what people think.
That's why you're doing this interview.
Both of them, both conservative creators, like, yes, the fucking conservative head of the FBI that was put in place by the guy that I elected, that was supposed to trust with everything in our power. Yes, we do believe that you would let the anybody associated or anybody that actually did do this when you have the wrong person go. Like, they have no trust whatsoever in Kash Patel, right? No trust whatsoever. Completely gone. He's used up all of the juice that he once had with this crowd, where he was talking about conspiracy theories on his podcast and, the Epstein files and wanting the truth to come out. He's completely thrown that all away and has now put himself, again, right in the fucking chum. He's chumming the waters, and then he threw himself in the fucking water is what he did. That's what these people are doing. Dan Bongino, right? Pam Bondi with her telling everybody it was on her desk. They chummed the waters. They went out there. They put the most beautiful fucking herring. They put the most beautiful fucking bait in there. A little oil, little fish oil, little blood, little guts out there. Ooh, it was juicy to those sharks. Threw it out there. They let it sit for a little bit. They let it marinate. They let the sharks congregate. And what they did is they did a fucking backflip. They did a gainer. They did a fucking 1.5 themselves right the fuck into the water at the direction of Donald Trump. Right? So Donald Trump was, hey, chum those waters, right? And then, okay, figuring somebody else was going to go for a swim. Maybe we'll just throw a line or some bait in there and we'll catch these guys. But no, Donald Trump instructed these guys, after he instructed them to chum the waters, to dive themselves headfirst into the waters to be eaten by the sharks. And this is what we're witnessing now.
Review. That's why he's doing the interview, because yes, there are many people who think that you just might do that if you're not kept in check and if people don't watch with a telescope.
Like
microscope, maybe telescope, kind of weird. Not doing it in outer space. I could see where you were going with it, but just maybe microscope.
I don't know, the Epstein client list.
Woo! There it is, and there it is, and there it is, and there it is, ladies and gentlemen, Epstein files. They brought it back to the Epstein files. Epstein files. Oh God, don't you just love when they come after their own with what we've been coming after their own with? Like, oh, the fucking lefties, these assholes. But yeah, they are pretty right about these Epstein file things. That is pretty fucking weird. Oh, they said they had them. Now they don't have them. And we all know it's a huge ring of people that are involved, but they told us nobody's involved. But that doesn't make any sense because we know it's like, isn't that weird? How we're like, oh, shit, brought back to the Epstein files. And I know you guys are probably losing support, probably losing faith in me and where this was going. But now do you see? Now do you see? The rift has gotten so big that no matter what the problem is with Kash Patel or Pam Bondi, the Epstein files are always going to be brought back up. They've made it so prevalent and so prominent and the bullshit so bullshittery that it just will not go away. And not by fucking lefties, not by progressives, not by these fucking anarchists and communists and socialists, but by MAGA Republican conservative commentators, by your own people. It's fucking delicious. Let's go on.
You have that you are just letting all of those people get away with crimes, kind of like that. Yeah, that's why nobody trusts you, bud.
With a mic.
Nobody trusts them because of the Epstein files. So no matter what happens from here on out, the distrust, right, the lack of trust coming from their own community is always going to stem back to these Epstein files now. And Kash Patel knows it. Dan Bongino knows it. Pam Bondi knows it. And Donald Trump knows it. And again, Donald Trump is already 3 miles down the street that way while we're looking, well, not where, but while the MAGA commentators are still looking at Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, Donald Trump's doing the fucking Homer Simpson meme back into the bushes, right? Not being spotted, not being seen, talking about ballrooms and fucking 9 wars being ended, anything but the Epstein files. But guess what? His own peeps now are bringing it up, and they're not going to let it die.
Microscope is the better one.
Oh, okay. See, I knew he was trying to go somewhere with that. I didn't know he heard. Would he hear me? Did he hear me on that one? Shit. Fuck.
Yes. They think you might do that. The trust has eroded.
With it, the trust has eroded, ladies and gentlemen. The trust has eroded. Can I put that on a shirt? Can we make that a chant? The trust has eroded. The Epstein files and the cover-up of the Epstein files has done what the left could not do in 10 fucking years and erode the confidence, erode the trust in at least some of these Trump administration officials. God damn, it's juicy. God damn.
silent.
Hit that like button, please. This is Blunt Politics. I'm Boston Brian. And now you see where I was going with this. Please, if you like, if you follow, if you enjoy the content, if you like what you're seeing, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, selfishly and, a little bit, probably shouldn't say, but to see these other fucking channels be growing as fast as they are, like, I know my content's better. Like, is it the live? Maybe it's live streams. I don't know. Maybe I should do more videos and more fucking other content like that. I'm not sure. It seems to be people love that no matter how shitty the content is. But I digress. Let's go back into this.
In the face of growing conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy theories, huh? What are you on the mind? What's got on the mind there, Cash? What are you thinking about?
That's what we do to shut down a faulty prosecution. That's what we do to shut down a system of justice that wants to be exploited by these same anarchists.
What are the chances the very next question asked to Cash is going to be, are you looking at me or are you looking at the other presenter?
And that's what they're doing.
Wow. So there you go. We're anarchists, guys. Me, retired Green Beret, served the nation, 10 years in Army Special Forces, went and fought the wars. I'm an anarchist because your story about a 30-06 not blowing Charlie Kirk's head off doesn't make sense. So, yeah, like Gary over at Paramount Tactical, another anarchist. Ian Carroll, anarchist. Candace Owens, anarchist. Jesse with Fire, anarchist. We're all just bad faith actor anarchists. Yeah, for sure, man. Why don't we compare resumes and see who served this country more, Cash? How about
clearly you can see the group of people that he just placed himself into. Again, if you don't know his content, if you don't know his background, again, I don't. I used his knowledge as a Green Beret to disprove the theory and the evidence that was coming out. And again, he just seems to be. I'm glad that I kind of did use that video because it led me to YouTube sending me his other videos. Again, him calling out Kash Patel and other MAGA people, which again I always enjoy highlighting for other people. So in one way, it's been a good thing. But again, I think they do go on to bring up the Epstein files even further. I don't think that was the only mention of the Epstein files in this whole thing. So let's go on.
To social media, they're bringing it online for clickbait, and we're not going to take it. We don't care what you say about me or Dan Bongino or anyone in leadership at the FBI.
Yes, you do. You're a fragile, insecure man.
No, but again, that's his role. And I don't think these people here that are talking about it have fully let it sink in, and they don't, because they are blinded by this whole thing of, and we've been talking about this on the show for a long time, the people that are so focused on Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and Pam Bondi that they're, again, not looking at the guy doing the Homer Simpson meme backing into the fucking woods, right? Backing into the bush. So again, they're so blinded by this whole thing with their willingness to give Donald Trump a break and to, give him the benefit of the doubt and to make themselves not look stupid by voting for a pedophile or a guy that's protecting pedophiles or funded pedophiles or, was like the fucking, the one-stop shop for this guy to go shopping for, little girls in his pedophile ring, whatever it may be. He's covering up his involvement and many hundreds of other people's involvement in this pedophile ring. And that's the guy that you put into office. So, you can see how they'd be unwilling and more willing to, unwilling to go after Trump and more willing to go after the underlings here so that they don't have to, again, take a look in the mirror and be like, hey, you voted for this guy that is, again, at the head of all this thing, all this stuff that you're upset about, all the, the anger and the frustration you're taking out on these underlings. All you got to do is, turn that fucking computer seat about 45 degrees to the right-hand side, and you'll be staring right at an orange blob of fucking pedophile protection, right? And that will give you the answers, the guy with the motive, the guy with the position of power, the guy with the ability, the guy with, the people under him to make it happen. Like that's, the guy with all roads pointing back to him, all roads, even the road less traveled points back to Donald Trump in this situation, right? Whether it be Alex Acosta, Trump administration, well, you know what I mean? Trump and his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein, like, allowing Jeffrey Epstein to just poach underage girls from the fucking spa at Mar-a-Lago. I mean, the never living very far away from Jeffrey Epstein, owning the jet, fucking partying with them. Every road leads directly back to Donald Trump. Yet these people are so focused, because of their selfishness and an inability to say that they were wrong, that they're so focused on the underlings. And again, it's remarkable to see that like they're so close. They're so fucking close.
The way you're doing this interview, just be honest, man. You're a tiny little insecure man that's upset that people like me are calling you out for being horrible at your job.
A tiny little insecure man. Oh, that's going to get under his skin. That's going to get under his skin. Oh, boy. Oh,
job, which you objectively are. And if you need some reminders of why nobody in America trusts you and everybody thinks you're horrible at your job, let's take a little trip.
Nobody in America trusts you and everybody thinks you're horrible at your job. Okay? Again, just throwing this out there. MAGA on MAGA violence.
Down memory lane. Remember when you just said this the other day?
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
There you go. Cash Patel right there said Jeffrey Epstein never trafficked any women to anyone. Yeah, man. Oh, but what about this one?
Rest now, brother.
And again, these is being used as justification as to why nobody trusts him and nobody thinks he's able to do his job. So that clip is why nobody trusts him. And this clip is probably why nobody thinks he can do his job. Oh, you know what this might be? Hold on. This might be the Valhalla moment. Isn't this from the, let's watch this.
We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Yep.
Quick reminder, you're not a warrior. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of figured he was going to have something to say about that. After seeing the Valhalla in the background here, and he was a Green Beret for 10 years, I thought he might have something to say about that.
That's offensive to those of us who went and fought wars. So don't say that ever again. You're embarrassing. But also, what about this one?
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
So yeah, buddy, spare us with the conspiracy theory talk. But there's not
only All right. So again, this is now the third reference in this video, supposedly about the death of Charlie Kirk and the information from it, referencing and bringing up the direct relation to the Epstein file cover-up, the lack of trust, and the inability to do his job, like his complete ineffectiveness. And this is, again, I reiterate, if you're just joining us, MAGA, right-wing, conservative commentators that placed himself in the same league and category as Candace Owens and, some of the other people that have been leading the charge in this area. Right? So the bullshit that they're calling out is directly related to not only Epstein's suicide, is not only related to Cash Patel now saying that Jeffrey Epstein only trafficked these, this ridiculous amount of underage girls to himself. The cover-up now being in place. Pam Bondi saying that the files were on her desk, but all of a sudden, no, they disappeared and it's a Democrat hoax. Like, why does he not call out how stupid it is to call it a Democrat hoax? Right? Because it's about all he's missing in this one.
Also, you had the Utah governor saying the same thing. People need to just stop listening. Don't listen to anyone but us.
He had to appeal to us. And now that he's on the other side of things, now all of a sudden he's attacking us. Now we're doing too much.
So he's talking about, before getting into this position of power, Cash Patel, obviously, as we've played, like Dan Bongino, was like, head of the charge in trying to, release the Epstein files and getting in there and saying that they'd be, the first ones in there and the last ones out to make sure that these were all released and the people and the people involved were prosecuted and we saw justice, right? And then the moment they get in there, it's funny how willing they are to step in front of the bullet for Donald Trump they are. Right. And again, being recognized by their own supporters, people that were, I'm sure, very willing to vote for Donald Trump, who, again, put these people in their positions of power.
But it's not just him saying that. It's also Mr. Spencer Cox. Listen to this.
This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community.
Turn it off. Turn it all off. Just before you see anything, before you see another video, before you realize that a 30-06 couldn't do that does far more damage than what you saw. Before you start to see people who are ex-Green Berets show you trajectory and how the C2 doesn't make sense for it to get hit at this.
So he's talking about this. Oh, I'm covering his face, but he's talking about this guy in the bottom, the same video that I played for you. But again, if they were to just use this and move this logic one step to its ultimate conclusion, right? And use this fucking thinking to again look at Donald Trump and the reasons he would have to enforce this cover-up, to instruct this cover-up to happen, right? The rhetoric, the bullshit he's been saying about a Democrat hoax. If you just went the next step, like I keep saying, they're so goddamn close to just look this way instead of looking fucking where you're being told to look at Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, right? Being thrown to the wolves, like I've said, just look right over here. Who's got the motive? Who's got the reason? Who's got the power to do this, right? Unreal. And let's just, because I'm running out of time here, I'm just going to go ahead to where they talk about this gag order being put in place by this judge. Because again, not very happy at this either. And again, this is where they start to they start to see their First Amendment rights being infringed upon. But it's okay when it's happening to Democrats. Okay when it's happening to me and you. It's okay when Donald Trump does it to somebody else, the one that they don't agree with their political opinion. But again, this is where we start to see the hypocrisy and them say, "Oh, wait a minute. Now when it's happening to me, I don't like that so much, and I'm more willing and able to call that out now." So this is where they start this bullshit. This is where they talk about the unprecedented gag order put in place by this judge.
You may have seen this, but yes, breaking the scope of the Tyler Robinson case gag order is unprecedented in Utah history. Over 3,000 witnesses, associates of the case, attorneys, family members, and even the press are subject to the order, threatened with potential contempt of court charges and jail time for speaking about the case. What country is this? You're gonna give the press jail time if they talk about a court case? And not only that, we're talking about...
Now, I'm curious, did he speak up like this when, I don't know, Donald Trump was suing 60 Minutes or CBS or was threatening the press corps, at the White House with only people that were sycophantic and would report good things? Like, did he speak up this Vietnamese against all those things in the way that Donald Trump has been abusing the press, the free press in this country, and been trying to, again, manipulate the free press? The way that, maybe Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon have, implemented new rules in order to get the press to only report what they deem and sign off on. Like, kind of like that. Have you made a video on that? I'm just curious if we'll see that maybe next. Maybe that'll be the next video you do. I'm sure it might be.
An American who was assassinated on live TV, and now Americans aren't allowed to question it or talk about it. Are you sure that's even legal? Oh, wait, it's not. Let's look. Yes, right here. Utah's own constitutional Article 1, Section 23 prohibits the state from granting any franchise, privilege, or immunity in an irrevocable manner. This means that laws cannot be passed that give permanent and unchangeable rights or privileges to individuals or corporations, maintaining the state's ability to alter or revoke such grants in the future.
Man, they're willing to do the research. They're willing to do the deep dives, right? They're willing to do the background searching and get the background information when it has to do with them, when it's their rights being trampled upon, or they, see them as being trampled upon, right? They'll do all the work they possibly can, but not when it has to do with anybody that they disagree with. They just are unwilling to speak up in those situations, and they're just going to use it to their benefit. But again, when it's done by one of their own to one of their own, that's when they're put in these types of positions.
Which means a judge has no privilege to prevent parties from communicating, which is granted by the First Amendment. So the only thing you'll be gagging is on our collective.
All right, so we heard that part already. We need to play that again. I think he plays a clip from Rogan, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see what this clip is. I haven't seen this, so I have no idea what he's playing here.
And once they do digital ID, they're going to attach it to a social credit score. Yep. They're going to attach it to a carbon footprint score. And then they'll be able to control your movement and control you entirely. And most importantly, they've already arrested 12,000 people for social media posts.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, it says right here, talking about the UK, which again doesn't have a constitution, which again doesn't have the same rights and freedoms afforded to the people. So again, is just a ridiculous way to compare what's going on. Not to mention, we do have social security numbers and things very much alike. What's going on, where the government can absolutely track you. But anyways, let's see if I can. I know I'm running out of time, but I just wanted to kind of play this. But that was just a great representation, a great example, I believe, of, again, just how much distrust, just how much like favor that, you know, that MAGA, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and the people that have been, again, thrown to the wolves, thrown to the sharks by Donald Trump, how much credit they've lost, not with us, not with lefties, not with progressives, not with fucking Democrats, not with blue-haired liberals, but with MAGA and the MAGA commentators and Republicans and, you know, Christians and fucking, you know, conservatives, the people that we wouldn't really necessarily expect to hear that shit from, you know, continuously bringing up the Epstein files, and gonna be continuously bringing up the Epstein files is a very good thing. Again, when more and more people are calling it out, more and more people are bringing it up, it's just a good thing to see. So let me see if I can put this on the screen here. This is just the last thing that I wanted to get into, again, with our ongoing coverage of the non-existent ceasefire that these idiots continue to lie to everybody and say is in place and is going well, when we know full and damn well that it's not. But again, here's where, you know, how we were reported even a week before this agreement was put into place, the question about the returning of the deceased hostages, right? So this is a question pertaining to that. And then I will let you guys go for the evening. See if we can just dive into this. You can't hear the question being asked, I can pretty much guarantee, but he's basically asking about, you know, Hamas being part of the agreement, being, you know, required to give the hostages back in a certain time frame. And remember, this is J.D. Vance in Israel. He is not in America. He is not in the United States. This is most likely from an Israeli news outlet. So, you know, you can see as to why they'd be asking about this, but it's the response from J.D. Vance. He first asked Steve Witkoff to join in afterwards, and then it's funny to see that Steve Witkoff declines to say anything after. But let's go ahead. He says there are still deceased hostages that have not been returned that are still in Gaza. Can you speak about the deadline that Hamas has to return all the deceased hostages? And secondly, he asks, yes, I didn't hear the second part, but the last thing he said is, what is your warning to Hamas? So this is J.D. Vance answering the question of the deceased hostages. And listen to this bullshit. Listen to this nonsense.
Steve, I'm going to ask you to follow up here, but let me say just a couple of words about the deceased hostages. I mean, one of the stations that I met with, one of the groups that's working on this that I met with earlier, they actually have a photo of the 15 deceased hostages who are still in Gaza. It is a focus of everybody here to get those bodies. Again,
irrelevant to the matter, and to think that they haven't had pictures of the hostages for quite some time is just ludicrous to think, right? So the fact that they have like pictures of the hostages and that's supposed to show some sign of, like, I don't know, agreement or some sign of progress in this is just ridiculous for him to even bring up in this case. But again, he goes on here to spew even more bullshit.
Bodies back home to their families so that they can have a proper burial. Now, that said, this is difficult. This is not going to happen overnight. Some of these hostages are buried under thousands of pounds of rubble. Some of the
so again, talking about what we knew a week before this agreement was even a thing, right? Was reported. We talked about it here in Blunt Politics. The knowledge that both U.S. had and Israel had of this exact situation, right? So then why was it put in the agreement that in a certain time frame they had to be returned if you yourself know that was going to be an area of impossibility? You see what's going on here? Like, why put something in the deal that is physically impossible? You know it's physically impossible. And even at this late stage in the fucking non-existent ceasefire agreement, it's still impossible. You see how it kind of makes it like, well, then why? This isn't really an agreement. This isn't really a ceasefire. This isn't really a real deal. If, you know, you're putting things in there that you know cannot be completed, cannot be obtained, right?
nobody even knows where they are. That doesn't mean we shouldn't work to get them, and that doesn't mean we don't have confidence that we will. It's just a reason to counsel in favor of a little bit of patience. This is going to take a little bit of time.
Again, that's irrelevant because the time frame was clearly put into that agreement. This wasn't like, okay, we'll play it by ear and we know this is going to be difficult. So, upon the later phases, we'll continue to revisit this issue. That's not how it was worded. So that's why these people are questioning you and your leadership and the government's leadership and your, inability or, what looks to be their inability to get what is put on paper actually done.
Our warning to Hamas is very straightforward. The terms of the 20-point plan that the president put out there is very clear. It's supported not just by Israel, but by all of our...
Again, it's not supported by Israel because we've seen time and time again that 20-point peace plan contradicted by Israeli officials in what's supposed to happen in that peace plan, right? Not only that, but the actions of Israeli settlers, the actions of the IDF go in direct contravention, are completely antithetical to what is said is supposed to be done in that 20-point peace plan. So again, you just sound and look like an asshole when we know what's going on.
All Arab friends, it's that Hamas...
And there's a reason why Donald Trump sent J.D. Vance and didn't do this himself, right? He knows it's not going well. He knows he was going to be faced with probably tough questions he wasn't going to look good answering, and he'd rather have the vice president kind of out there, again, fed to the sharks. See the theme here? See how Donald Trump doesn't, he likes the spotlight, but if he knows he's going to have a tough time, he'd rather send somebody else and kind of hit the golf course, right? It's a little easier on the fucking 17th green than it is in an Israeli press conference.
Disarm. It's that Hamas has to actually behave itself, and that Hamas, while all the fighters can be given some sort of clemency, they're not going to be able to kill each other, and they're not going to be able to kill their fellow Palestinians. Now, again, that's going to take a little bit of time. We're talking about how to set up the security and humanitarian apparatus to put all this in place. But right now, where I stand, I feel confident that we're going to be in a place...
They're talking about the humanitarian apparatus to put this in place. Now, was that communicated through this deal? Was that how it was worded? That we're going to, we'll be, speaking about contingencies later on about this? Like, no, that's not how it was worded. So clearly, you're already being thwarted at what you wanted to get and see implemented.
Where this peace lasts, where it's durable. And if Hamas doesn't cooperate, then as the President of the United States has said, Hamas is going to be obliterated. Steve, do you want to add anything about the hostages?
I think you said it, sir.
Okay, great.
Nope, I'm all good. Nope, you can take the heat on this one. That's why Trump sent you, and that's what you'll do. I'm just going to stand here in the background with my hand on my dick, and yeah, good. Go ahead. Keep going. You were doing great.
Ma'am.
So that's just kind of what I wanted to show you, just a little bit to confirm and corroborate what was reported here on this podcast, again, about a week in advance of this deal. So I really do appreciate you guys. I think we've had some great shows here lately, and I really do thank you, each and every one of you, especially the new people in the chat. I want to thank you for taking the time out of whatever you may otherwise have been doing at this time, to take your time out to kind of check out this podcast, to check out this whole live stream, and to see if you find a liking spot, a happy spot in the chat. Not only that, if you like what you're hearing and what you're seeing here on the podcast, I really do appreciate it. I try to bring you, a lot of what we find important here. You'll find the major topics being obviously Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Gaza, ICE, what Donald Trump is doing as far as his regime, geopolitics. We try to cover it all and try to hit it all here. And we try to give you the most up-to-date and factual information while trying to give some sort of a humorous twist on it when it's appropriate. But I really do appreciate you guys. I really do thank you for your time. I do apologize again that I can't bring up the old Venmos, but I don't even have a language set up right now. I'm pretty sure it thinks I'm Ukrainian. Oh no! Now it thinks I'm Spanish. Let's see here. Nope. Now it thinks I'm Italian. Now it thinks what is that? Chinese, or what is that? Korean? I'm not sure. Now it thinks I'm from Turkey. Now it thinks I'm German. Nope. That's not German. That's what, Netherlands. Now I'm from Dubai. It doesn't know what the fuck I am. So I apologize that I can't highlight and, shout out everybody on Venmo as I usually do. But once I get that working, I'll go back to the shows that I missed, and I'll make sure that I get you as I normally do. But what do you say we get to people here on YouTube? Thank you guys so much again, whether you're sending it to the Venmo, Whether you are signing up for a membership here on YouTube, which is $2.99 for the month, that is probably the most bang for your buck. If you are looking to go even another step, you can do patreon.com/BostonBrian for as little as $5 a month. That gets you involved in our monthly Zoom meetings. We got a Zoom meeting coming up tomorrow night for the VIPs, and then we're going to get on to the November Zooms, and I'll give you the dates for that. So if you're signed up before at the VIP level tomorrow night, that'll get you access to the link and get you involved in the Zoom chats. And if you're signed up before the next Zoom in November for the Gen Pop, that'll get you involved in access into that as well. And again, you don't have to turn on your camera. You don't have to say anything if you don't want. If you just want to chill in the background and listen, that's totally your prerogative to do. But, it's just a good way to kind of put a face to the screen name in the chat, get us a little bit more acquainted and well-known towards each other. So first off, thank you so much, Jen. Say hi to my nicer Dina and her fiance, Logan. Say hi to my nicer Dina and her fiance, Logan. Is that just a random coincidence that it says Logan and that is your friend Dina and her fiance, Logan, and it has nothing to do with what I'm thinking it is? Because if so, Dina and fiance Logan, I really do appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your nuptials. I really do appreciate it. Is that what you say? Is that a thing? Or is nuptials the actual wedding? I'm not sure. Fucking don't listen to me. Congratulations on getting fiancéed. I appreciate it. And thank you, Jen, for your contributions. I really do appreciate it. Thank you, Treva. Shout out to you, Treva, for the $2. I really do appreciate it. He has since covered it. I believe him. What's that say? Converted. He has since converted. You guys are cracking me up. I don't know. Am I loopy tonight? Am I not reading right? Is that converted? He has since converted it. I believe him. Oh, is this about... this might be about Graham. This might be about Graham now that I think about it, Treva. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's tough for me to remember what I was talking about at the time. My apologies. But shout out to you, Treva. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Again, I'm not telling anybody what they should or should not do in terms of forgiveness. I just think we could probably all agree the expectations and the higher positions, the higher grade that we should hold our representatives to, right? And again, you may be still willing to talk to them and have a beer with them in public and yada, 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 and that's your prerogative. That's on you. But again, I think we should probably be able to agree that type of either behavior or lack of being able to see things, right? Lack of awareness, right, is probably not a good place. The Senate is probably not a good place for that. And again, it hurts me to say, I don't like saying it. I think it was, I think he had a great spot. I think he was in a great position. Again, not only to do a little bit of thwarting towards the Democratic establishment, but also, his ability to, get a crowd, his ability to get out there and speak against, MAGA and speak about the policies that he, apparently thought were beneficial. So, like I said, I don't say it lovingly or joyfully in any of that regard, but, one has to stick with his beliefs and principles. And that's what I hope to do and continue to do here on Blunt Politics, whether or not you guys agree or disagree, or if it bothers you or pisses you guys off. And not saying it does. I don't want to say it does, but I'm just saying I'm not going to be willing to step back from my beliefs if I do think it is going to piss you guys off. And I think I've proven that in the past. So thank you so much. Rachel, have you reached out to Jackson Franklin yet? I have. And there was two other people as well that I sent emails out to. I can't remember the other two right now. It's been so long since I've had a phone, but yes, I have. I will let you know, upon the response that I hear or, lack thereof, because again, I don't have much pull yet in this business. So I appreciate you, Rachel, for bringing that up. Thank you so much. Mark G, what's up, buddy? What's happening, dude? Boston Brian, the survivors to work at Mar-a-Lago and make them sign NDAs. Or Boston Brian, you would hire the survivors to work at Okay, gotcha. I read that completely wrong the first time. My apologies, Mark. I didn't mean to totally misrepresent that question or statement, I should say. But I do appreciate it. And yes, you're 100% right. Anytime we're talking about Donald Trump's involvement, regardless of what that is, it's definitely not fucking good. Right. Anybody that's willing to go to these lengths to cover up his involvement, it's probably not, sending some flowers and that's about it. Right. One can assume both. So thank you, Mark. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, Yvonne. Let's go. Talking about Donald Trump's lips look like more like a blow up doll. I appreciate you, Yvonne, so much. Thank you so much for the 10. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much for the content that you send over. It is very much appreciated. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mark G. Again, shout out to you. I watched at Boston Brian on video driving around, thanking the No Kings protesters, and I was thinking the whole time, oh my God, at Boston Brian is lucky if he survives. You know what? I was really kind of thinking about I believe it was was it Jenny Faye? I think it was Jenny Faye that said, like, you know, watching me watch back that video with a smile on my face and having Jenny Faye watch the similar video with the similar smile on her face kind of shows her that she's watching and involved in the right community and watching the right channel. Right. So I thought that was pretty cool where, you know, because I must have been watching that video, smiling at it the whole time, you know, and she kind of recognized that. And she had a similar smile, either watching the similar video, the same video, or one of her own. And that's how she kind of realized and, you know, knew that she was in the right spot. So I very much appreciated that. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Mark. I appreciate you watching that as well. Thank you for your contributions. Shout out to you. Shout out to Rachel as well. Local PSL chapter was at the rally and well received. Thank you so much again, everybody that got out. I mean, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and how much this is just the beginning as well. So Rachel, shout out to you. Yvonne, again, shout out to you. Well, Megan Kelly has got hair extensions on her head. I wonder if she got extensions on her pom-pom as well. I'm just asking questions. Jesus. We're going to have to get a fucking Yvonne UK filter. Fucking bomber clot. Jeez, Yvonne, you're killing me. But I appreciate it so much. You would fit right in with our family. It wouldn't even be funny. You wouldn't even you'd just be one of us, I promise. Nancy, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Hope you get your phone back. Yeah, me too. It's been a pain in the ass. It's because I don't have a phone. I need another phone in order to make the calls to Apple, you know, to kind of run through the whole rigmarole, but not easy when obviously Mel's got, you know, other things to tend to, and obviously it's difficult for anybody to go without a cell phone for I don't know how long it's going to take. So there's a lot of roadblocks. It's been much more of a pain in the ass than I ever expected it to be. So Nancy, I hope I get my phone back as well, and thank you so much for your kind words. I'm really hoping. Thank you. JD, shout out to you with the 99 going right in the swear jar as usual. I very much appreciate you, brother. Shout out to you. Let's get you a JP Mandel.
We've endorsed JP, right? JD Mandel, and he's doing great.
I appreciate you, brother. I really do. Vinny, what up, Vin? I appreciate that. So fucking nice of you. Shout out to you, Vin, for the $20. Really, really generous of you. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you so much for joining us. I always love seeing new names and faces in the chat. So thank you so much. I appreciate you giving me a shot, and I hope to see you again in one of our other shows, because we have a bunch during the week. Please make sure you check out the schedule. I'm sure it's been posted on the YouTube channel. If not, I'll post it again. That way you can check out all the different days and times that we're on, and you can kind of pick which one suits best. Or if you're an OG and you're an ultra follower, you can just watch them all. That would be great too. So I appreciate that as well. Thank you so much, Jenny Faye. I second Rachel's request. I met Jackson. Nice, smart young man. Need all the help we can get to get rid of Victoria Spartz. She's horrible. Good call, Rachel. Yes, it was me. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jenny Faye. I thought it was. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the 10 and rounding it out in a very, very nice way, in a very, very positive way. So thank you, guys. What's today? Wednesday. So I'll see you tomorrow for the Thursday show. That's going to be at 2 o'clock on the East Coast. That's going to be 11 o'clock here on the West Coast. And you figure out if you live somewhere in between that, whatever time it's going to be for you. Easiest way to do it is just hit that notification bell, click that, and then it'll send you a notification anytime I go live or set up a show or put out a video or a short or anything like that. That way you can stay up to date. I really do. Your commitment, your support to this channel. Even though we are growing at a slow but steady pace, we are growing. So it is really good to see. In one of these days, who knows? Maybe we'll just kind of hit we'll hit that glide path. We'll hit the old speed. We'll be over the old speed bump on the algorithm, and maybe we'll see each other on the other side, and we'll get that boost that some of these other creators seem to be getting for some goddamn reason. I don't know. Some of you may like, who knows? I don't want to sit here and act like I'm jealous or anything, but, I do believe that some of the content you'll see here is a lot better, a lot more factual, a lot better presented than some of these other people that are getting a boost. But anyways, not to sound sour, not to sound salty. I'll see you guys tomorrow, right? I appreciate you guys. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Keep kicking ass. Finding yours protest. Finding yours rally. Get out there. Stay loud. Stay proud. Stay aggressive. But keep your head on the swivel. Keep it peaceful. And I appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, as I always do. I appreciate it. See you tomorrow. And I just got to say real quick, Dad, if you're listening, what you typically are, I apologize. Mom as well. I've made it a routine before every show that I typically call my mom and dad and just kind of shoot the shit, say hi for a second, make sure everything's all right. Just gives me an excuse to hear their voice and say hello and tell them I love them. But I haven't had the ability to do that since I haven't had a fucking phone. So I do apologize. I hope you understand that it's not me not wanting to call, but I appreciate you. I love you guys. I thank you guys for watching, and I really appreciate your support. So just wanted to get that out there. I want to make sure that was known. All right. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow. Keep kicking ass, guys.
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular.
They've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you, Mel, for everything you do. Appreciate all the mods. Thank you for your time.
Brian, you're drunk. Get drunk.
I'm just standing. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants. You referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small.
Here you got a little chubby going there. Here you got a little chub
vagina.
All I smell is your bullshit.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps.
Obama. No words. I had the best words. But there's no better word than stupid. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
Get off my plane. Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job.
I am the chosen one.
Oh, go fuck yourself. Bad news,
bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill. They were fighting uphill. He said, wow, that was a big mistake. He lost his great general. And they were fighting. Never fight uphill, me boys. But it was too late. You're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
The population in Thailand is 63 million people. It is twice the size of Wyoming. Its chief exports are textiles, footwear, and rice. Each year, approximately 13,000 people are killed in car accidents in Thailand.
Venezuela. Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela. It's unbelievable.
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
You know, he wanted to debate. If we didn't have a debate, he'd still be there. Can you imagine if we didn't have a debate? Why the hell did I debate him? Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
Obama.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
White people are a mortal danger to you and your loved ones. Is there anything worse than white people?